The clash of ancient god bodies, since you want to experience it, I'll fulfill your wish. Mo Jui's face was gloomy. With a loud shout, his body swelled rapidly and he turned into an ancient god. And NBSP however, the ancient god body he had transformed into had orange scales. His orange-armored ancient god body and height were much shorter than Lu Ming's. However, Mo Jui's cultivation was too high. He was a 6th-level celestial deity, much stronger than Lu Ming. With the support of his powerful cultivation, his power was extremely terrifying. Boom! Mo Jui took a step forward and his huge body rushed towards Lu Ming. A huge black demonic blade appeared in his hand and he slashed at Lu Ming. Kill! Lu Ming shouted and rushed towards Mo Jui. Boom! 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 The two of them fought intensely and launched fierce attacks. This was the most direct collision, and it was extremely intense. It was like two giants were suddenly fighting each other. During this period, the two of them used all kinds of means. Lu Ming continuously cast the ice chain, the divine dragon materialization technique, and the 3 apocalyptic strikes. Mo Jui also used all sorts of terrifying secret skills and divine skills. One had to admit that Mo Jui's combat strength was extremely strong. The two of them fought for hundreds of moves, but it was still difficult to determine the winner. The divine power that Mo Jui controlled was divine-grade divine power. Furthermore, the divine skills and secret skills that he cultivated were also very powerful and were not any weaker than Lu Ming's. Moreover, his cultivation was 5 levels higher than Lu Ming's. This was the 5th level of the celestial deity realm. The gap was truly shocking. Lu Ming's advantage was the Universe Thousand Tao Mantra. He had cultivated 6 divine flames and his body was filled with 6 types of divine power. However, other than the ruler's divine power, 2 of Lu Ming's other 5 types of divine power were divine-grade divine power while the other 3 were king-grade divine power. The difference between the sacred-grade divine power and the king-grade divine power was too great. Even if there were 5 types combined, the difference would not be too great. Lu Ming estimated that his current level of divine power was barely comparable to Mo Jui, who was a 3rd-level celestial god, or even worse. Lu Ming's other advantage was that his battle formula had quadrupled combat power and his green-armored ancient god body. With all these advantages combined, he would be able to fight against Mo Jui in terms of combat power. The two of them were evenly matched, and in the blink of an eye, hundreds of moves had been exchanged. Terrifying. Why is Lu Ming so terrifying? This is heaven-defying. I've never even heard of his name before. I can't believe he's this strong. The Kongxian sect actually has such a genius. The heavens are going to change in the future. The other geniuses of the 3 overlord forces couldn't calm down. Even Sword Dao Wuji and Sangyan Pajun's faces were very serious. Buzz. And NBSP whoosh. This was especially so for Wuji, whose body was constantly emitting the sound of a sword. He was like a divine sword, and his sword intent soared to the sky, ready to attack at any time. However, he still held back. After all, he was a divine son. If he attacked Lu Ming together with Mo Jui, he would lose face. Boom! Boom! Lu Ming and Mo Jui's battle continued, and the more they fought, the more tragic it became. Pfft! Mo Jui's saber light landed on Lu Ming's body. The green scales flew in the air and deep wounds appeared on Lu Ming's body. However, at the same time, Lu Ming's long spear also struck Mo Jui's body. Mo Jui staggered and a large piece of his body exploded. Blood and flesh flew everywhere. It was a terrible sight. However, the two of them had no intention of stopping. They were still fighting fiercely, and their fighting spirit was getting stronger and stronger. The others held their breaths and watched with widened eyes. They wanted to see who would win between Lu Ming and Mo Jui. Whoosh! Whoosh! Lu Ming brandished his long spear like a dragon. He performed the first and second forms of the 3 apocalyptic strikes in succession. This was also due to the support of the quantity formula, where Shen power was endless. Otherwise, it would have been very difficult to support. It was only with so many conditions that Lu Ming was able to unleash such powerful combat abilities. Otherwise, it was impossible for a first-level celestial deity to have such combat abilities. Although Mo Jui was only a 6th-level celestial deity, his combat strength was enough to kill an ordinary 8th-level celestial deity. He could even fight a 9th-level celestial deity. In other words, Lu Ming was only at the 1st-level celestial deity realm, but he could fight a 9th-level celestial deity. This was simply a miracle. 3 apocalyptic strikes, 3 apocalyptic strikes. Since the start of the war, Lu Ming's mind was unusually calm. He was enjoying the war and absorbing experience from it. His understanding of the 3 apocalyptic strikes was getting deeper and deeper. He had a feeling that the 3 apocalyptic strikes were about to break through. He had been cultivating the 3 apocalyptic strikes to the peak of the 6th stage for a long time. After such a long period of tempering, his understanding of the 3 apocalyptic strikes had become very deep. After the intense battle with Mo Jui, he really had a feeling that he was about to break through. In the blink of an eye, they had exchanged dozens of moves. Buzz! All of a sudden, Lu Ming brandished his long spear. The long spear vibrated and a crescent-shaped spearlight slashed out. Its power was much stronger than before. He had broken through. At this moment, the 3 apocalyptic strikes had broken through to the 7th level. Every time a divine skill was broken through, its power would increase greatly. The crescent-shaped spear radiance clashed with Mo Jui's saber radiance, causing it to shake violently. How is that possible? Mo Jui's expression changed drastically, revealing a look of disbelief. At this critical moment, how could Lu Ming's attack power increase again? Bang! Mo Jui's body trembled and he took a few steps back before he could stabilize himself. Ha ha ha, again. Lu Ming laughed heartily. He kept brandishing his long spear. The breakthrough of the 3 apocalyptic strikes had made it easier for him to cast them. Moreover, he had broken through to the 7th stage of the 3 apocalyptic strikes and could already cast the 3rd move. Of course, it would take time to cultivate. Lu Ming had not cultivated and naturally could not cast it. However, the power of the first move, sky piercing, and the second move, moon cutting, had also been greatly improved. Bang! Bang! The situation had completely changed. Lu Ming's attack power had suddenly increased and he had completely suppressed Mo Jui. Mo Jui bellowed continuously and tried his best, but he was still no match for Lu Ming. He was forced to retreat and for a moment, he could only defend himself but not fight back. Originally, his combat strength was on par with Lu Ming's. Now that Lu Ming's divine skill had a breakthrough, the balance was tilted. This Lu Ming has such a terrifying talent. He actually managed to break through to the divine skill in the middle of a great battle. Boundless Sword Dao's eyes flashed with a hint of shock. Of course, such talent is shocking. Sanyan Pajuan licked his lips, his eyes filled with shock and battle intent. They were also peerless geniuses. However, it was their first time meeting someone like Lu Ming. Such a person cannot be left alive. Otherwise, there will be no place for us in the Qin Heaven Star region in the future. Sword Dao Wu Ji's eyes flashed with a shocking cold light. Boundless Sword Dao, do you want to join forces with Mo Jui? I can't do such a thing. If we want to fight, we have to fight fair and square. Sanyan Pajuan said disdainfully. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2906 For Great Experts, if you don't make a move, they'll make a move. Sword Dao Wu Ji said coldly. The sword intent on his body suddenly soared, and a bright sword light slashed at Lu Ming. The sword radiance was tens of thousands of meters long and had a mountain-like pressure. It carried a vast sword chi and was extremely terrifying. As soon as he made his move, Sword Dao Limitless used his killing move. Mo Jui's eyes brightened when he saw Sword Dao Wuji attack. He immediately attacked Lu Ming with all his might. "You guys are despicable, not far away," Ouyang Qingxiang shouted. However, with her strength, she could only be anxious and could not interfere. Moon-slaying sword, moon-slaying sword. At this moment, Lu Ming took out a long spear in his left hand. With a long spear in each hand, he performed the moon-slashing move at the same time. One of them was aimed at Sword Dao Wuji, while the other was aimed at Mo Jui. Boom! Boom! Lu Ming's attack collided with Mo Jui's and Sword Dao Wuji's attacks at the same time, creating a terrifying explosion. Lu Ming groaned and his body trembled. A powerful force surged from both sides. In particular, his Sword Dao was boundless, and he controlled divine-grade divine power. At the same time, the Sword Dao he cultivated had extremely terrifying offensive power. Lu Ming could feel that there were tiny sword chis constantly drilling into his body and slashing at his scales, causing sparks to fly in all directions. Lu Ming's expression changed. His body turned rapidly and he broke away from Mo Jui and boundless Sword Dao's encirclement. Then, his divine power surged and destroyed the sword chi on the surface of his body. Boom! Boom! Sword Dao Wuji and Mo Jui stepped out, their powerful auras pressing down on Lu Ming. Very good. You two want to join forces, right? Then come. Even if I die, I can take one of you down with me. Which one of you should I take with me? Lu Ming's eyes glinted coldly as he revealed a menacing killing intent. He kept scanning Sword Dao Wuji and Mo Jui. Sword Dao Wuji and Mo Jui's expressions changed and they stopped. Lu Ming's lips curled into a cold smile. The effect of this move was quite good. Back then, he had used this move to scare off Four Eyes, Void Court and Zhuobuju. Now, he was using the same move again, causing Mo Jui and Sword Dao Limitless to be extremely wary. Of course, this was also because he was strong in battle, so this move was effective. If his combat strength was not up to par, he would not be able to match either Mo Jui or Boundless Sword Dao. The two of them could easily kill Lu Ming if they joined forces, and this move would be useless. The main thing was that Lu Ming's strength was extremely shocking. In a one-on-one battle, he could even suppress Mo Jui. If he really went all out, he could really take one person down with him. That was why they were so afraid. This fellow is trying to scare us. I don't believe that he would really risk his life, Mo Jui roared angrily. He really wanted to kill Lu Ming. You all joined hands to kill me, so why shouldn't I go all out? What a joke. Lu Ming sneered. Mo Jui was at a loss for words. Indeed, he was about to die, so how could he not risk his life? Come on, it's not bad to drag a son of God down with you. Lu Ming bellowed, his fighting spirit soaring. Boundless Sword Dao did not move. He was really a little afraid. If Lu Ming went all out and perished together with him, it would really not be worth it. Didn't Lu Ming just kill a holy son of the inextinguishable sword sect? What did it have to do with him? If Lu Ming's ability was low, he could kill him easily. Naturally, he would kill Lu Ming and win over his reputation. However, now that Lu Ming's ability was enough to threaten his life, he had to think twice. Haha, Lu Ming, you're overthinking it. I saw you guys fighting just now and was itching to test your abilities. Your abilities are indeed amazing. I'm impressed. If you guys want to fight, continue. I won't disturb you any longer. Sword Dao Wuji laughed and kept his sword intent. He retreated 100 miles away, leaving the battlefield to Lu Ming and Mo Jui. This guy is really a hypocrite, Mo Jui gritted his teeth, his expression ugly. Mo Jui, do you want to continue? Lu Ming had his eyes on Mo Jui. Humph, Lu Ming, they'll let you off today. Well, fight again in the future. Mo Jui spat out some harsh words and retreated as well, putting some distance between him and Lu Ming. He felt a little guilty if he were to continue fighting Lu Ming alone. Lu Ming smiled faintly and did not continue to fight with Mo Jui. Firstly, although he could suppress Mo Jui with his strength, it was impossible for him to kill Mo Jui. Secondly, Sword Dao Wu Ji and Sangyen Junpo were also watching him closely. If he was injured in a battle with Mo Jui, he had no doubt that Sword Dao Wu Ji would take the opportunity to kill him. Now was not the time for a war. At the scene, there was a confrontation between 4 experts. The others had complicated feelings. In the past, among the Qin Heaven 13 clans, Sword Dao Wuji, Mo Jui, and Ashen Flame Army Breaker were the only ones who stood out and suppressed everyone. Now, they knew that there would be 4 great experts in the Qin Heaven 13 clans. Lu Ming would be one of them. It's good to have one more person. Let's follow the previous method. Well, join forces and break open the stone tower's door. If there are treasures inside, well, rely on our own abilities. How about it? Tsang Yen said. All right. Lu Ming nodded. Then make your move. Tsang Yen said as a hot aura spread out from his body and he threw out a punch. His fist force was extremely hot, like a ball of lava, and it blasted toward the stone tower's door. Buzz. Whoosh. Sword Dao Wuji, Mo Jui, and Lu Ming also attacked the stone tower's door. The stone tower looked very old, as if it would decay and collapse at any time. However, when their attacks landed on the stone tower's door, the door only shook violently and didn't explode. What are you guys doing? Let's attack together. Mo Jui's gaze swept across the other geniuses from the unique Demon Academy. The Heaven's favorites' expressions changed. They then attacked together and attacked the stone tower's door. At the same time, the paragons of the indestructible sword sect, the boundless Holy Land, and Ouyang Xiangxiang all attacked. One attack after another bombarded the stone tower's door. Boom! 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 The stone tower's door kept shaking. After a while, a crack appeared on the door. Success, continue. Sword Dao Wu Ji's eyes lit up, and he attacked even harder. Beams of dazzling sword chi kept slashing at the door. Kacha! Kacha! More and more cracks appeared on the door. Not long after, there was a loud bang and the door exploded. Behind the gate was a wide hall. Through the gate, one could clearly see an altar in the middle of the hall. Above the altar, 3 bronze array plates were floating. Array plates, 3 array plates. The eyes of Lu Ming and the group lit up, emitting a burning glow. Buzz! 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 Lu Ming, Sword Dao Infinitum, Sangyen Pajun, and Mo Jui moved at the same time and rushed into the hall. The hall was very spacious and there was nothing else except for the altar and the 3 array plates. The array plate is mine. Mo Jui formed a huge hand and grabbed at the 3 array plates. Chapter 2907 Selling Array Plates. Mo Jui grabbed the 3 array plates. He had a huge appetite and wanted to take all 3 array plates. Get lost! Get lost, die! Sword Dao Infinitum and Grey Flame Army Breaker roared as they attacked at the same time. A terrifying sword light and a scorching fist force shot towards Mo Jui. Mo Jui's expression changed and he could only defend with all his might. However, he was fighting 1 against 2. How could he fight against them? He was immediately forced to retreat. As Mo Jui was forced back, Boundless Sword Dao and Sangyen Jun Breaker moved and grabbed an array plate each. On the other side, Lu Ming also grabbed an array plate. Almost at the same time, the 3 of them each grabbed an array plate and then retreated. The 3 array plates were divided among the 3 of them. Damn it, you guys, Mo Jui's face turned extremely ugly when he saw this. His appetite had been too big just now, wanting to take all 3 array plates for himself, but he had been forced back by Sword Dao Infinitum and Grey Flame Army Breaker. He didn't expect that after he retreated, he wouldn't have a share of the array plates. It was impossible for him to get the array plates that Lu Ming, Sword Dao Infinitum, and Flame Breaker had obtained. He was so angry that he wanted to vomit blood. And NBSP at this moment, all of them turned to look outside the hall. This was because there was a dazzling light shining outside the hall. The few of them moved and rushed out of the hall. They saw that in the distant sky, there were many bright halos shining. It was clearly the light of the galaxy formation. What's going on? Why is this galaxy formation suddenly shining again? Was there nothing unusual before? Could it be that the God Kings outside are attacking the formation again? Some people guessed. It shouldn't be possible. Since those God Kings have already sent us in, they know that we are inside. It's impossible for them to rashly attack the formation, nor would they allow others to attack the formation. Someone said, and everyone agreed. This galaxy formation was mysterious and unpredictable. No one knew what kind of danger it would cause if they attacked the formation from the outside. If they attacked the formation from the outside and all the geniuses who entered the galaxy died, it would be a great loss. Why would those sect masters and elders do that? Could it be that the 12 array plates have been taken by someone else, causing this abnormality? Another person guessed. It's possible, it's very possible. Just now, senior brother Jian Dao and the others were fighting for the array plate. The moment they got the array plate, the light in the sky shone. One of the Immortal Sword Sect's paragons shouted. Many people nodded. This was the most likely possibility. It was very likely that all 12 array plates had been obtained by someone else, and that was why the galaxy array had such a strange reaction. You guys, go out and take a look. You guys go too. Sword Dao Wu Ji, Mo Jui, and the others each sent out a few heaven's favorites to take a look. The few of them rose into the air and flew out of the galaxy. The rest of the people waited quietly. Lu Ming had also returned to his normal form and was waiting at the side with Ouyang Qingxiang. Soon, 7 days had passed, and the young men who had gone out earlier returned. What's the situation? Mo Jui was the first to ask. Senior brother, the array master outside has speculated that all the array plates have been obtained by someone else, which is why there is such a strange phenomenon. Everyone can go out now. One of the geniuses from the Unique Devil Academy replied. As expected. Everyone's heart moved. Humph. Mo Jui snorted coldly and glanced at Lu Ming with an unfriendly look. Then, he led the geniuses of the Unique Demon Academy and flew into the sky, disappearing in the blink of an eye. Let's go too. Sword Dao Wuji shouted and shot into the sky with the Immortal Sword Sect's elite. Brother Tsang Yen, wait a moment. Just as Tsang Yen Pajuan was about to move, Lu Ming called out. Lu Ming, what did you call me for? Could it be that you want to exchange pointers with me? Tsang Yen Pajuan stopped and stared at Lu Ming in confusion. There's no need for sparring, brother Tsang Yen, I wonder if you're interested in array plates? Lu Ming smiled faintly. Of course I'm interested. What are you trying to do? Tsang Yen Pajuan was even more confused. I have 2 array plates here, how about I sell them to you? Lu Ming's palm glowed and 2 array cards appeared in his palm. Sell it to me. This time, it was not just Tsang Yen Pajuan. The other geniuses of the boundless Holy Land, including Ouyang Xiangxiang, all widened their eyes and looked at Lu Ming in surprise. However, Lu Ming had obtained the 2 array plates. Naturally, Ouyang Qingxiang would not say much about how he wanted to deal with them. She suppressed the doubts in her heart and did not say much. Are you really going to sell it to me? Sanyan Pajuan asked again. He was really confused. One must know that these array plates were what the sect masters and elders outside wanted. With these array plates, those sect masters and elders could enter this galaxy and fight for the star core. As long as they handed over the array plates, they would definitely be rewarded handsomely. Lu Ming actually wanted to sell the array plate to him. He had 10,000 doubts in his heart. Of course it's true. It's absolutely true. You can exchange for it with precious metals or divine crystals. Lu Ming smiled. He had no intention of bringing the array plate out and offering it to Dragon Boat Mountain. According to Bone Demon's estimation, once Dragon Boat Mountain obtained a star core, it would definitely be of great use. Dragon Boat's Mountain was very useful, but it was disadvantageous to Lu Ming. He would not hand the array cards to Dragon Boat's Mountain. Selling it to Sanyan Pajuan now was the most cost-effective. Alright, you guys, take out all the gold-attributed materials you have, then offer up the array plate and well split the reward equally. Sanyan Pajuan looked at the geniuses from the boundless sacred land. One by one, the geniuses of the boundless holy land took out all the rare and precious metal materials they'd found in the galaxy and piled them up. Brother Lu, how about these metal materials and 100 million mid-grade divine crystals for your 2 array plates? Sanyan Pajuan looked at Lu Ming uneasily. To be honest, the price he offered was too low. If they went out with 2 array plates, the reward they would get would definitely be far above this number. Sure. Lu Ming did not mind. It was better to sell as much as possible than to offer it to Dragon Boat Mountain. Sanyan Pajuan was overjoyed. He handed the gold attribute materials and 100 million divine crystals to Lu Ming. Lu Ming also gave the 2 array plates to Sanyan Pajuan. Lu Ming, I'll accept your favor. See you another day. Sanyan Pajuan laughed heartily and left with the geniuses of the boundless sacred land. Qingxiang, please keep this matter a secret for me after you leave. Lu Ming told Ouyang Qingxiang. Of course, he couldn't let the Dragon Boat Mountain know about this. All right. Although Ouyang Qingxiang was puzzled, she still nodded. Then, the 2 of them rose into the air and left the place. After a period of time, they left the galaxy. Outside the star system, the sect heads of the Qin Heaven 13 clans and the other god kings were all waiting nervously. Obtaining the star core on the Dragon Boat Mountain. As soon as Lu Ming and the rest came out, they saw that almost all the paragons of the other sects had come out and gathered around the sect masters. Some of the sect leaders' faces were dark. For example, some of the weaker ones in the top 10 sects didn't even get an array plate. Without an array plate, it was almost equivalent to losing the qualification to compete for the star core. Lu Ming's gaze swept across and he noticed a few divine king powerhouses from Dragon Boat Mountain and Kong Xian sect not far away. Lu Ming flew over and realized that the Supreme Holy Sun, the Transient Light Holy Sun, and the rest had already gathered around Dragon Boat Mountain and the others. Lu Ming is really lucky. The Supreme Holy Sun's face darkened when he saw Lu Ming. Lu Ming cast a cold glance at the Supreme Saint Sun, the Transient Light Saint Sun, and the others. The latter shivered and broke out in a cold sweat. However, Lu Ming did not make a move here, nor did he reveal the fact that the Supreme Holy Sun had colluded with Mo Jui to kill him. The founding member of the Supreme Clan, Supreme Elder, was also here. Lu Ming knew that even if he told the truth now, he would not be able to kill Supreme Universe. He might as well not say anything. When he had the chance in the future, he would naturally get rid of Supreme Universe. Lu Ming, how many array plates did you get? When they saw Lu Ming, Dragon Boat Mountain's gaze turned to him with a look of hope. Sect Master, I'm useless. I didn't get a single array plate this time. Lu Ming pretended to cup his fists and put on a ashamed look. You didn't get it? Don't try to lie to this lord. Dragon Boat Mountain's face sank, and a hint of gloominess flashed through his eyes. Lu Ming, you're spouting nonsense. You've already obtained an array plate on the first planet you've entered. How dare you lie to the sect master? How dare you? The Supreme Saint shouted. When they first entered the first planet, he competed with Lu Ming and he saw with his own eyes that Lu Ming obtained an array plate. What? Upon hearing the words of the Supreme Universe, the Dragon Boat Mountain's gaze turned even gloomier as it swept its gaze over Lu Ming. That's right. In the beginning, I did obtain an array plate. I was going to give it to the sect master, but someone colluded with Mo Jui of the Unique Devil Academy to frame me. I was chased by Mo Jui, and in order to save my life, I gave that array plate to Mo Jui. Otherwise, I would have been dead. Lu Ming began to make up nonsense and even made a false accusation while he looked at Universe Master coldly. Don't you slander me. Who colluded with Mo Jui? Supreme Universe's expression changed as he shouted. I'm not talking about you. Why are you so nervous? Lu Ming said indifferently. You, Supreme Universe was at a loss for words. However, he did believe Lu Ming's words. When Mo Jui chased after Lu Ming, it might be as Lu Ming said. Lu Ming used the array plate in exchange for his life. Therefore, he did not refute it. Sect Master, if you don't believe me, I can swear that I don't have an array plate on me. Lu Ming made a vow. He wouldn't be afraid even if he swore on his life source, because he didn't have an array plate on him. Dragon Boat Mountain's expression was unsightly. If he didn't have an array token, he wouldn't be able to enter the galaxy array and participate in the competition for the star core. This time, the planetary core was very important to his plan. Sect leader, Lu Ming and the rest did not get any array plates, but I did. At this moment, Supreme Universe laughed. You got one? Dragon Boat Mountain's eyes lit up. That's right. Please take a look, Sect Master. There was a flash of light in Dragon Boat's hand and an array card appeared. He then cast a smug look at Lu Ming. One piece is enough. Dragon Boat Mountain laughed joyfully. He waved his hand and grabbed the array plate. Supreme Universe, you're very good. This time, I'll definitely reward you handsomely. Many thanks, Sect Master. The Universe Master bowed and gave Lu Ming a provocative look. This guy actually got an array plate. Lu Ming pursed his lips and was somewhat speechless. He had sold the array plate to Grey Flame Breaking Army because he didn't want Dragon Boat Mountain to fight for the Star Core. He didn't expect that the Supreme Universe would obtain an array plate. Whoosh! At this time, not far away, a ray of light burst out and rushed towards the galaxy formation. It was the Demonic Academy's Dean. He had already impatiently rushed toward the Galaxy Great Array. The other sect masters and divine kings who had obtained the array plates also moved at the same time, rushing towards the Galaxy Array. The Dragon Boat Mountain's figure also flashed. In the next moment, it appeared in the galaxy and continued to fly toward the core of the galaxy. It was so fast that Lu Ming had no idea how it left. There were a total of 12 array plates, which meant that 12 terrifying experts had rushed into the galaxy. With the array plate, the galaxy array did not have any abnormalities. Boom! In just a few breaths, a terrifying rumble erupted from the depths of the galaxy. Beams of dazzling divine light burst out and illuminated the universe. The God Kings are fighting. Someone said with bright eyes. Obviously, the fight for the Star Core had already begun. A terrifying war must have broken out in the depths of the galaxy. Boom! Boom! Deep in the core of the planet, the rumbling became more and more intense. Beams of divine light of different colors shone in all directions. Even though they were standing outside the galaxy, they could still feel the slight vibration in the space. This was definitely extremely terrifying. One must know that they were standing outside the galaxy. They could feel the tremors even though they were separated by a galaxy. It could be seen how intense the battle was. A terrifying battle between god kings that could shatter a planet was not just talk. The battle continued for a moment. Suddenly, everyone saw a stream of light rushing out of the galaxy at an astonishing speed. There were other streams of light hot on his heels. Could it be that the winner has already been decided and the star core has been obtained? The same thought flashed through everyone's mind, and they couldn't help but widen their eyes, wanting to know who had obtained the star core. The speed of the light was shockingly fast. In a few breaths, it was about to fly out of the range of the galaxy. Dragon Boat's Mountain. Lu Ming was greatly shocked. The stream of light that was flying at the very front was the Dragon Boat Mountain. Dragon Boat Mountain, hand over the star core. Don't even think about taking the star core for yourself. Behind him, a series of angry roars came, shaking the universe and stars. It was really the Dragon Boat Mountain that had obtained the star core. Buzz. The Dragon Boat's Mountain did not say a word. They increased their speed to the maximum and arrived beside Lu Ming and the others in the blink of an eye. Let's go. Dragon Boat Mountain waved his hand and a surge of divine power swept up Lu Ming and the others, flying into the distance at high speed. The other God King experts of the Kong Xian sect followed closely behind the dragon boats. Chase them, don't let them escape. Chase. Behind them, the sect masters of the three overlord forces roared in anger. They led the experts under their banner and chased after Dragon Boat Mountain's group in a frenzy. In addition, the experts from the other sects had also caught up. The dragon boats carried Lu Ming and the group and flew at an astonishing speed. One planet after another passed by them. Rising Dragon Array. Not long after, they arrived at a teleportation formation nearby. Dragon Boat Mountain brought them into the teleportation formation and arrived on a planet near planet Kong Xian. Then, they flew toward planet Kong Xian. Activate the planet protection array. As soon as Dragon Boat's mount landed in the Kong Xian sect, his voice spread throughout the entire sect. Sect Master, it's the Sect Master. Sect Master has given the order to activate the Star Protection Formation. Activate the formation. The entire Kong Xian sect was filled with noise, and powerful auras soared into the sky. In the next moment, pillars of light shot into the sky from different parts of the Kong Xian sect. There were a total of 360 light pillars scattered across the planet. This was the formation base of the formation. Each of the 360 pillars of light was 10,000 miles wide, and they formed a huge formation that enveloped the entire Kong Xian planet. This was the Planet Protection Array. It was similar to the Sect Protection Array that Lu Ming had encountered in the past. However, this kind of array was many times stronger. It could cover an entire star. In fact, powerful forces like the Qin Heavenly 13 clans, the Ice Soul clan, and the Scarlet Flame clan all had planet protection arrays to protect the safety of the main star. As soon as the Star Protection Array was activated, the teleportation array that Lu Ming and the rest had just come out of glowed. Then, the sect masters of the three overlord forces and other experts arrived. They flew towards planet Kong Xian and stood outside of it. Dragon Boat Mountain, hand over the star core. The college chief of the Unique Devil Academy roared and attacked. He struck out with his palm. A huge palm that covered an area of at least several million miles was formed and smashed towards Kong Xian planet. Boom! The huge palm struck the great formation, causing it to light up. Rays of terrifying divine light shot out and clashed with the palm of the Dean of the Unique Demon Academy. In the end, the huge hand was riddled with holes and dissipated in the air. Seeing that he had blocked the attack of the headmaster of the Winged Demon Academy, the other members of the Kong Xian sect all heaved a sigh of relief. Dragon Boat Mountain, hand over the star core. Do you think that you can stop so many of us with just a great formation? The Demonic Academy's headmaster furiously shouted. Attention, all of you. Activate the array with all your might. The mission I'm giving you is to guard and defend for half a month. After half a month, I have a way to repel the enemy. All of you can go. Lu Ming, stay behind. Dragon Boat Mountain instructed. After that, the Divine King experts, the Supreme Universe Master, Ouyang Qingxiang, and the others left the place one after another, leaving only Lu Ming and the dragon boats behind. Attack! Outside the formation, the Dean of the Unique Devil Academy shouted angrily and launched another attack. And NBSP in addition, the sect leader of the Indestructible Sword Sect, the Lord of the Boundless Sacred Land, and the other God Kings also began to attack. One after another, terrifying attacks rained down on Kong Xian planet. Each of these attacks was extremely terrifying. Lu Ming felt that each of them could turn him into ashes and leave nothing behind. Lu Ming, follow me. Dragon Boat Mountain waved his sleeves and flew towards a certain place in the Kong Xian sect with Lu Ming. We're finally going to start. Lu Ming's heart stirred. Now that Lu Ming had broken through to the celestial god level, he reckoned that the dragon boats were about to make their move. The Bone Demon speculated that the Dragon Boat Mountain's physical body had already been occupied by another powerful existence, and that existence's main body should have been suppressed by the trapping dragon rising to the heaven formation. The Dragon Boat Mountain's goal was to rescue its main body. Not long after, they arrived at a place. The Dark Dragon's secret realm. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. This was the entrance to the Dark Dragon's secret realm. Back then, Lu Ming had obtained the quantity formula in the Dark Dragon's secret realm. Could it be that the rising dragon array mentioned by the Dragon Boat Mountain was in the Dark Dragon's secret realm? Lu Ming's guess was right. The Dragon Boat Mountain brought Lu Ming into the Dark Dragon's secret realm in a single step. After entering the Dark Dragon's secret realm, they flew in one direction and soon arrived in front of a huge mountain range. This mountain range was extremely huge, as if a divine dragon was lying on the ground. Boom! The Dragon Boat Mountain suddenly made a move. With a wave of its hand, a divine light slashed towards the mountain range. Just as the divine light was about to hit the mountain range seemed to come to life. It turned into a divine dragon and flew into the sky, disappearing into the firmament. Following that, a light screen appeared in the mountain range area earlier, blocking the divine light from Dragon Boat Mountain. From a distance, it looked like a light shield that was covering the ground. Rising Dragon Array. Dragon Boat Mountain muttered to himself, his eyes flickering with heat and anticipation. It's really the Rising Dragon Array. There's definitely a powerful being suppressed in this array. I was right. In his sea of consciousness, the Bone Devil's voice sounded. Of course, he was communicating with his soul, and the Bone Devil's control was very subtle, so the dragon boats didn't notice. Dragon Boat Mountain, why did you bring me here? Lu Ming asked despite knowing the answer. I'm lending it to you, of course. An army that has been trained for 1,000 days can only be used once. The dark dragon blood curse that I've cultivated in your body for so long can finally be put to use. Dragon Boat Mountain laughed loudly, and within his laughter, there was an incomparable ferocity and madness. Following that, Dragon Boat Mountain's hands rapidly formed seals. At the same time, a dazzling light burst out from Lu Ming's body. Then, black runes spread out like tiny snakes. The dark dragon blood curse was activated. Countless black runes covered Lu Ming's entire body. Go in. Dragon Boat's Mountain waved his hand and Lu Ming flew out, heading towards the coiling dragon rising to the heaven formation. Buzz. When Lu Ming neared the rising dragon array, the array shook and burst out with rays of light that charged at Lu Ming. Lu Ming was shocked. He could sense that the light contained a terrifying power that could destroy everything. Lu Ming would definitely not be able to withstand it. However, at this moment, the pitch-black dark dragon blood curse on Lu Ming's body seemed to come to life. It extended from Lu Ming's body and entangled with the light of the rising dragon formation. They were like living creatures, fighting each other. Lu Ming's figure entered the rising dragon array without a hitch. Ha ha ha, the dark dragon blood curse can indeed counter the rising dragon array. I can finally escape, I can finally escape. Dragon Boat Mountain laughed crazily and vented some of his emotions. He seemed to have gone mad. Following that, the Dragon Boat Mountain formed hand seals again. The dark dragon blood curse on Lu Ming's body shone brightly. Then, a terrifying suction force was produced. At this moment, all of Lu Ming's blood, essence, energy, and spirit were surging towards the dark dragon blood curse as if they were about to be devoured by it. Dragon Boat Mountain, you said you wouldn't harm my life. If you continue like this, I won't be able to hold on any longer. Lu Ming roared. Chapter 2910 Counterattack begins. He, Lu Ming, you're really naive. How can we break the rising dragon formation if we don't sacrifice you to the dark dragon blood curse? How can I escape? Lu Ming, rest in peace. You'll die a worthy death if you can help me get out of this. Ha ha ha. The dragon boat's master laughed maniacally and sped up his hand seals. The dark dragon blood curse on Lu Ming's body grew wildly like wild grass. Countless small snakes extended out with Lu Ming's body as the core. After these little snakes extended out, they intertwined with the rising dragon array, tightly entangling it. Then, a hole was actually opened in the rising dragon array. A passage appeared where the dark dragon blood curse was. Roar! At this moment, a roar came from the depths of the rising dragon array. It was a dragon's roar, and it carried a terrifying pressure, making Lu Ming feel scared. A divine dragon. A divine dragon is trapped in the coiling dragon rising to heaven formation. The true form of this dragon boat is a divine dragon. Bone shouted. Lu Ming's expression changed. He didn't expect that the being that occupied the dragon boat's physical body would actually be a divine dragon. Could it be the dark dragon of the divine dragons? Lu Ming had a thought in his mind. Dark dragons were extremely rare divine dragons, but they were extremely terrifying existences. Every single one of them had astonishing strength. Roar! Roar! From the depths of the rising dragon array, the roars of dragons could be heard continuously, filled with excitement. Ha ha ha, I'm about to break free. In the future, the Qin Heaven Star region will be my world. The Dragon Boat Mountain laughed and took a step forward, stepping into the passage that had been opened by the rising dragon formation. If the rising dragon formation had not been activated, no one would be able to enter the Dragon Boat Mountain. Now that the dark dragon blood curse had opened up a passage in the rising dragon array, he could pass through it and help his main body escape. Then, he could use the star core to restore his strength to its peak. The moment he recovered to his peak state, no one in the Qin Heaven Star region would be his match. Lu Ming, you are really my lucky star. The dragon boats walked toward Lu Ming and sneered. Lu Ming, now is the time. At this moment, Bone Demon sent a voice transmission to Lu Ming. Oh, really? I'm really your lucky star. Lu Ming looked at the Dragon Boat Mountain and sneered. Then, he waved his hand and an array disc flew out of his hand. Lu Ming had asked Wuxia to refine this array disc. Before Lu Ming went to the Dark Light Galaxy, Wuxia had already refined it and handed it to Lu Ming. As soon as the formation disc flew out, it expanded rapidly and hovered above Lu Ming's head. At the same time, it emitted countless rays of light. These rays of light resonated with the rising dragon formation. Bang! 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 At that moment, the dark dragon blood curse on Lu Ming's body exploded continuously as if it was crushed by a force and dispersed. At the same time, a steady stream of energy from the quantity formula gushed into Lu Ming's body, keeping his divine power at its peak. What's going on? What's going on? Dragon Boat Mountain's eyes were wide open in shock, and his face was filled with disbelief. He could not understand why the dark dragon blood curse planted on Lu Ming's body would suddenly explode. Naturally, he did not know that Lu Ming had used the array disc that the bone demon had taught him to refine and that he had used the power of the rising dragon array to destroy it. Dragon Boat Mountain, the one to die today is you. Lu Ming shouted coldly. The formation disc above his head emitted a dazzling radiance. Then, with a wave of his hand, the entire rising dragon formation trembled. Then, countless rays of light rushed towards the dragon boats. Ah, what happened? How can you control the rising dragon array? Dragon Boat Mountain cried out in disbelief. However, in the next moment, the beams of light from the rising dragon formation struck the bodies of the dragon boats. Boom! Boom! The dragon boats tried their best to resist, and a series of explosions erupted. However, the power of the rising dragon formation was too strong. Even with the Dragon Boat Mountain's strength, it was difficult to resist it. He was bombarded by beams of light, and the powerful force suppressed the Dragon Boat Mountain. Boom! Dragon Boat Mountain directly knelt on the ground, causing dust and smoke to fill the air. Roar! The Dragon Boat Mountain let out a beast-like roar. The terrifying divine power of the Divine King realm erupted. It was as if a planet was burning. It wanted to break through the suppression of the rising dragon formation. Kill him! Lu Ming shouted. The array disc above his head glowed brighter and brighter, completely merging with the rising dragon array. This was the array disc refined by Lu Ming of the Bone Devil cult. It was extremely mysterious and could control the rising dragon array for a short period of time to kill the dragon boats. Buzz! The coiling dragon rising to the heaven formation started to shake as if it had a mind of its own. Rays of light seemed to have turned into chains that wrapped around the dragon boats. Although the Dragon Boat Mountain tried its best to resist, it was still useless. Its body was tightly bound by the light beam chains formed by the rising dragon array. These chains of light had terrifying suppression and obliterating effects. Once they wrapped around the target, they would kill the target. Ah, damn it, the Dragon Boat Mountain roared as it struggled. It was simply in disbelief. Lu Ming could actually control the rising dragon array. This was completely beyond his expectations. He had studied it for countless years but could not find a way to control the rising dragon formation. If he had known this method, why would he need Lu Ming's help to refine the dark dragon blood curse? He would have released his original body a long time ago. Lu Ming, a young junior disciple, actually knew the method to control the rising dragon array. But now, he didn't have time to think too much. How to escape was the top priority. Lu Ming, what are you doing? How dare you offend your superior, why aren't you letting me go? Dragon boats roared in anger and put on the airs of the sect leader of Kong Xian's sect to pressure Lu Ming. What a joke. You want my life, and I don't dare to resist. Is there something wrong with your brain? Lu Ming sneered in disdain and continued, moreover, you're not the sect leader of the Kong Xian sect, Long Zhou's mountain. The soul of the real dragon Zhou's mountain has long been destroyed by you. You're the dark dragon inside, right? You. How do you know? This time, Dragon Boat Mountain was even more shocked. Lu Ming could even guess this. He was simply a monster. That's right, I'm not Dragon Boat Mountain, I'm Dark Dragon. Lu Ming, do you know how strong I am? Once I escape, I can suppress the Qin Heaven star system with a flip of my hand. Now, let me go quickly and I can swear that I won't harm your life. I can even give you a great fortune. Dragon Boat Mountain roared. Seeing that threatening them wouldn't work, Dragon Boat Mountain immediately changed their strategy and changed to baiting and roping them in. Great fortune. I don't care. I'll only be at ease after I get rid of you. Lu Ming shouted coldly and continued to control the rising dragon formation to kill the dragon boats. Bang! Bang! A series of explosions rang out from Dragon Boat's body. Those were caused by his divine power being crushed by the power of the trapping dragon rising to heaven formation. Chapter 2911 Critical moment. Dragon Boat Mountain was already on the verge of being unable to withstand the attacks. The divine power on his body continued to explode, and wounds appeared on his body, causing blood to flow out. After that, the power of the rising dragon array seeped into his body and went straight for the soul of Dragon Boat Mountain. Roar! At this moment, a dragon's roar came from the dragon boat's mouth. The space between his brows shone brightly, and the shadow of a pitch-black dragon flew out, trying to escape. This was a part of the dark dragon's soul. It had occupied the physical body of Dragon Boat Mountain and was controlling it from there. At this moment, Yulong's soul was forced out by the rising dragon array. The moment Yulong's soul came out, he wanted to escape. However, he was bound by the power of the rising dragon array and could not escape at all. As soon as Yulong's soul came out, Dragon Boat's physical body was no longer able to resist. It directly exploded with loud bangs and turned into ashes under the suppression of the rising dragon array. The Grand Master of his generation, the sect leader of the Kong Xian sect, had truly disappeared from this world. All that was left was a storage ring floating in the air. Naturally, the rising dragon array would not attack the storage ring. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. A stream of divine power rolled out and the storage ring was in his hand. Lu Ming could not help but reveal a happy expression on his face. The Dragon Boat's mountain must have hidden the star core in the storage ring. Now, it was in Lu Ming's hands. That was a peerless treasure that even the King of Gods would fight to the death for. How could Lu Ming not be tempted? Lu Ming, I want you to die a horrible death. The soul of the Dragon Boat's mountain was howling madly. At this moment it was being attacked by the rising dragon formation, and its soul had already become much weaker. If this continued, it would collapse in no time. Roar! Roar! A deafening roar came from the depths of the rising dragon array. It was the roar of a dark dragon. Boom! 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 The entire land shook violently. Not good, Yulong is going to forcefully attack the formation. Bone was nervous. Boom! 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 The quaking in the depths of the formation became more and more intense. Through the gap, they could see that the huge dark dragon was struggling with all its might. Its huge body twisted and turned as it crawled toward Lu Ming. The dark dragon blood curse from before had opened a gap in the trapping dragon rising to the heaven array. That dark dragon was going to crawl out through this gap. Walala! From a distance, a terrifying aura could be felt. Lu Ming almost could not breathe. This is bad. Lu Ming, quickly destroy this part of the soul. Bone quickly shouted. Kill, kill. Lu Ming controlled the rising dragon array with all his might, obliterating that part of the dark dragon's soul. Under the full force of the rising dragon array, this part of the soul finally exploded with a bang and disappeared. Lu Ming, you are courting death. Inside the rising dragon array, Dark Dragon let out an angry roar. His body emitted a hot light, and a terrifying aura gushed out like an avalanche, hitting the rising dragon array. His huge body followed the previous gap and continued to climb over. The two huge dragon eyes glared at Lu Ming ferociously, as if they could not wait to cut him into 8 pieces. The portion of soul that occupied Dragon Boat Mountain wasn't just a small portion. It was at least a small portion of the Dark Dragon's complete soul. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to control Dragon Boat Mountain for so many years and display such powerful battle prowess. The loss of this part of his soul was a heavy blow to Dark Dragon. Therefore, Lu Ming had to die. This is bad. Lu Ming, retreat quickly. Get out of the rising dragon formation and use the formation to suppress him. Bone Demon shouted. Lu Ming did not hesitate at all. He retreated rapidly and rushed out of the rising dragon array. Die! I want you to die, die! Yulong roared as a berserk power continued to burst forth. He charged madly through the gap from before. It had to be said that this dark dragon's strength was truly unfathomable. He had been suppressed here for God knows how many years, and now, a part of his soul had been destroyed. However, the power he displayed was still terrifying. The entire rising dragon array was shaking violently. Suppress! Suppress! Lu Ming controlled the rising dragon formation with all his might. Countless light beam chains wrapped around Yulong. However, as Yulong struggled, many of the light beam chains broke and exploded. The dark dragon slowly crawled towards the outside of the coiling dragon rising to the heaven array. The main thing was that the dark dragon blood curse had opened a gap in the rising dragon array. Without this gap, no matter how strong the dark dragon was, it would have been difficult for it to break out. But now, he was in danger. Bang! Bang! This dark dragon had a total of 7 dragon claws on its abdomen. It was a 7-clawed divine dragon. His 7 dragon claws stomped on the ground, step by step, as he walked toward the outside. Although he was constantly attacked by the rising dragon array, leaving wounds on his body, he did not care and attacked with all his might. He knew that this was his last chance. If he didn't take this chance to escape, he would be trapped here forever until his life was exhausted. Therefore, even if he had to pay a huge price, he had to escape. Moreover, Lu Ming had a star core on him. As long as he could escape, kill Lu Ming, and obtain the star core, he would be able to recover a part of his strength in a short period of time. Therefore, he charged forward without any regard for his life. Not long after, he actually managed to cover half the distance. Roar! The dark dragon roared, and a terrifying pressure rushed toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming's body trembled, and he was forced to retreat. He spat out a mouthful of blood. Yulong was too powerful. He was much stronger than Lu Ming. Even if the other party's strength was greatly reduced, a part of his soul was destroyed, and he was also severely injured by the rising dragon array, he was still astonishingly strong. Not good. If this continues, he might really escape. Once he does, he'll definitely be the first one to kill you. You can't escape from such an existence. Bone shouted. Then what do we do? Lu Ming asked. I'm going all out. I can only go all out. This time, I can only go all out. Bone Demon's eyes were filled with ruthlessness. How do we fight? Lu Ming asked. Take the initiative to attack and charge into the enemy's mouth. Then, you will use all your strength to control the rising dragon array to deal with him. I will use a secret technique to completely destroy his soul. Bone said. Alright, let's do that. Lu Ming was a decisive person. Although doing so would be akin to sending a sheep into a tiger's mouth and it was very dangerous, he still decided to do so. To be reborn after death. Roar. At this moment, Yulong opened his mouth and roared. His killing intent was as cold as a knife. Now is the time, Bone Demon shouted. Before the Bone Demon could finish its sentence, Lu Ming's body had already rushed out and into the dark dragon's mouth. You're really seeking death. Watch me completely refine you. Yulong roared, and his divine power boiled as it wrapped around Lu Ming. Chapter 2911 Killing Yulong, you're the one who's going to die. Lu Ming roared. The array disc above his head glowed as he used all his strength to control the rising dragon array to suppress the dark dragon. He had no choice but to divert more divine power to resist the rising dragon array. In this way, there was much less divine power to use against Lu Ming. Now, watch me, I'm going to fight too. The Bone Demon roared and emitted a terrifying black light. He opened his mouth and spat out an ugly jar. Buzz. The earthen jar trembled slightly, exuding an extremely terrifying aura. This aura made Lu Ming's entire body tense up as if he was facing an extremely terrifying expert. Then, a ray of light emanated from the jar and enveloped Lu Ming. This ray of light could help Lu Ming resist the dark dragon's divine power. Lu Ming, you can't block it. It'll go and destroy his soul. The bone demon cried out and rushed into the earthen jar. It then controlled the jar and soared into the sky, disappearing from Lu Ming's sight. It seemed to be flying towards Yulong's head. Roar! Roar! Not long after, the dark dragon let out an earth-shattering roar. The divine power that was attacking Lu Ming was reduced by a lot. Ah, who are you? Who are you? The dark dragon kept roaring, as if it was terrified. His huge body kept struggling and rolling, slowly rushing out of the rising dragon array. Slowly, his head left the rising dragon array, which made the dark dragon struggle even more. Waves of divine energy whistled and charged at Lu Ming, causing the light shield around Lu Ming's body to shake continuously. Bone demon, you have to be quick, or you'll die here. Lu Ming roared in his heart, but there was nothing he could do. He could only control the rising dragon array with all his might to suppress the dark dragon. Just like that, a few moments passed. Yulong had already left the coiling dragon rising to the heaven formation by more than half. His struggle and counterattack became more and more intense. Ah, no, no, I beg you, spare me. At this moment, Yulong let out a terrified scream and begged for mercy. Disappear. Then, Bone's cold voice sounded. Roar. The dark dragon let out an indignant roar. In the next moment, the divine power that was charging at Lu Ming all retreated and disappeared without a trace. Did you succeed? Lu Ming revealed a look of anticipation. Buzz. At this moment, the bone demon controlled the jar and appeared in front of Lu Ming again. Senior Bone Demon, did you succeed? Lu Ming asked hopefully. It's a success. I've finally destroyed the dark dragon's soul. This time, it was really dangerous. It's a pity that I've suffered heavy losses and my vitality has been greatly damaged. The Bone Devil cried out in a miserable manner. Every time you make a move, you say you've suffered heavy losses. Lu Ming pursed his lips. Kid, what did you say? I'm telling you, I've really suffered a great loss this time. In the future, you must compensate me well, understand? The Bone Devil roared. Yes, yes, I'll definitely compensate you well. Lu Ming could only smile apologetically. This time, it was all thanks to the Bone Demon. Otherwise, Lu Ming would definitely be dead and Yulong's plan would be carried out perfectly. Senior Bone, what should we do now? Lu Ming asked. This dark dragon's corpse is good stuff. I can live here for a while. You control the rising dragon array and let the dark dragon out. I can also control it to defeat some of the enemies outside. Bone said. All right. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He immediately controlled the rising dragon array and stopped suppressing the dark dragon. Bone Demon's figure flashed and headed towards Yulong's sea of consciousness. Then, he controlled Yulong's body and smoothly climbed out of the trapping dragon rising to the heaven array. As soon as he left the rising dragon array, Lu Ming flew out of the dark dragon's mouth. Boom! At this moment, a shocking aura erupted from Yulong's body. This aura made Lu Ming feel apprehensive. It was even stronger than the dragon boats. This Yulong has such terrifying strength. Now that his soul has been destroyed and he has been suppressed for so many years, he can still exert such an aura even when he is seriously injured. It's really terrifying. Lu Ming sighed. That's for sure. At its peak, this nether dragon was an existence that surpassed God Kings. Bone Demon's voice came from Yulong's forehead. An existence that surpasses God King? Lu Ming was amazed and looked forward to it. God kings were existences that could shatter planets. How powerful would those who had surpassed God kings be? Xian Nianking's condition for Lu Ming was to surpass the king of gods. Only then would he be able to find her and help her. He had to reach this realm. Lu Ming, come on up. I'll bring you out. We'll talk after we defeat the people who are attacking the Kongxian sect. You'll have to stay in the Kongxian sect for a while. Bone said. Lu Ming nodded. He moved and landed on Yulong's head. Yulong twisted his body and rushed out. At this moment, Kongxian planet was in a crisis. The leaders of the three overlords, the Yimo Academy, the Immortal Sword Sect, and the Boundless Holy Land, led some of their God King experts and attacked the planet-protecting formation of the Kongxian sect with all their might. They were not the only ones. The top 10 sects had also joined in and attacked the planet-protecting formation of the Kongxian sect. Although Kongxian sect's planet-protecting formation was extremely powerful, there were too many powerhouses on the other side. After resisting for so long, it was already in a precarious situation and seemed to collapse at any moment. Dragon Boat Mountain, get the hell out here. You want to stop us with just a great formation? Dream on. The Demonic Academy's college chief roared. The aura on his body was as deep as the ocean, and it condensed into many shocking demonic swords that slashed at the Kongxian sect's planet-protecting formation. That's right. You want to keep the star core for yourself? No way. Hand it over. The sect leader of the Indestructible Sword sect continued to unleash terrifying attacks. Each sword strike seemed to be able to split the entire Kongxian planet in half. Boom. 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 Under such a terrifying attack, Kongxian sect's planet-protecting formation kept shaking. Bang. Bang. Suddenly, some parts of the Kongxian sect's planet-protecting formation exploded. Not good, the star protection formation is about to be broken. An elder of Kongxian sect exclaimed. Once the planet-protecting formation was broken, they would definitely not be able to withstand the siege of so many experts outside. Sect Master, where did Sect Master go? The sect leader disappeared with Lu Ming. I wonder where they went. What do we do? The entire Kongxian sect was like an ant on a hot pan. Bang! Bang! More and more parts of the planet-protecting formation exploded. Finally, with a world-shaking explosion, the planet-protecting formation completely collapsed and disappeared. The auras of the Demonic Academy's Dean, the Immortal Sword Sect's Sect Master, and other peerless experts enveloped the entire Kongxian sect like a storm. Everyone from the Kongxian sect felt as if a huge mountain was pressing down on them. They were terrified and broke out in a cold sweat. They felt as if they were in deep trouble. The betrayal of a supreme clan. The Demonic Academy's college chief's eyes were like lightning as he scanned the entire Kongxian sect. Those who were caught by his gaze were all frightened and broke out in cold sweat. They did not dare to look him in the eye. Even some of the God King experts in the Kongxian sect were the same. The dean of the Yimo Academy was a true overlord figure in the Qin Tian Star region. He was an existence that stood at the peak. Ordinary God Kings were far from being his match. In the entire Kongxian sect, only the Dragon Boat Mountain could compete with the dean of the unique Demon Academy. This was also the reason why the Kongxian sect could become the head of the top 10 sections. It was because the other sect masters of the top 10 sects could not compete with the dean of the Yimo Academy. Now that the Dragon Boat Mountain was not around, how could the others dare to face an overlord like the dean of the unique Demon Academy? Where's Dragon Boat Mountain? Get him to come out. The Demonic Academy's college chief coldly shouted. Senior, Overlord Long, we don't know where he is now. An elder of the Kongxian sect replied. I wonder where he is. Did he think that hiding would be of any use? I'll destroy the Kongxian sect and see where he can hide. The college chief of the Unique Devil Academy said coldly. His voice contained endless killing intent. Not good. Everyone in Kong Xian's sect was shocked. Boom. The college chief of the Unique Devil Academy made his move. With a wave of his hand, an extremely huge demonic palm formed and pressed down on Kong Xian's sect. The demonic palm was simply too big, and it completely enveloped the most important inner and outer sects of the Kong Xian sect. If this palm were to press down, the main gate of Kong Xian's sect would probably be razed to the ground. Stop him. Let's join hands. Angry voices came from within the Kong Xian sect. Then, 9 figures rushed into the sky. They were the 9 founding elders of the Kong Xian sect. They were all divine kings. They attacked together and each of them used their ultimate moves. 9 brilliant attacks crashed toward the demonic palm in the sky. Boom! 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 9 terrifying collisions were produced. The sky and the earth were both shaking violently. Finally, the demonic palm was blocked and dispersed in the air. However, the 9 elders of the Kong Xian sect grunted and their bodies trembled violently. They fell toward the main gate of the Kong Xian sect and crashed heavily into the ground. Some of the weaker cultivators spat out a mouthful of blood and their faces turned pale. After all, there was still a huge gap between them and the college chief of the Unique Devil Academy. Although they had blocked a move from the other party, they had also been injured. Humph, let's see how many of my moves you can block. The Demonic Academy's college chief shouted coldly. A demonic sword flew out of his body. He held it in his hand, and a terrifying sword intent spread. The entire Kong Xian sect was filled with despair. If the Demonic Academy's dean were to attack with all his might, the Kong Xian sect would probably have to mobilize most of their elders in order to fight against him. However, one should not forget that there were still other elders in the Unique Demon Academy. There were also experts from the Indestructible Sword sect and the Boundless Holy Land. If the other party attacked together, the Kong Xian sect would be annihilated in an instant. We're finished. Some people's faces turned pale. Could it be that they were going to die here today? Dean, my supreme clan is willing to submit to the Unique Demon Academy. Please, Dean, spare our lives. At this moment, a voice came from within the Kong Xian sect. Then, a person stepped into the air and stood in midair. He then bowed respectfully to the Dean of the Unique Demon Academy. The Paragon is moving. It's him. He actually wants to rely on the Unique Devil Academy. Shameless traitor. Many of the Kong Xian sect members were roaring in their hearts, but they did not dare to curse out loud. Oh. You want to join me? The headmaster of the Unique Devil Academy said. It's not me, it's my supreme clan. Why aren't you all coming out? Jizun's gaze swept across the people from the Jizun clan. Instantly, many figures flew out. Among them were the Supreme Universe and the other Supreme Clans. There were many experts and even 2 elders. Alright, I agree. The Dean of the Unique Devil Academy directly nodded and agreed. This was not a small force, so it would be a waste not to take it. Thank you, Headmaster. From now on, my Supreme Clan will follow your lead. Supreme Martial Artist Dong hurriedly said. Supreme Martial Artist, move. You traitor. You're despicable. How dare you betray the Kong Xian sect? At this moment, a furious roar rang out. It was Wuxia, and he glared at the Supreme Martial Artist with a furious expression. What shameless! This is called a wise man submits to circumstances. Wuxia, I advise you to surrender. What's the point of fearlessly resisting? Supreme Martial Artist Dong sneered. Despicable is despicable. You're still finding so many excuses for yourself. Wuxia shouted in anger. Supreme Martial Artist, move. This old man has truly misjudged you in the past. Your supreme clan is full of ingrates. The other elders of Kong Xian sect also roared in anger. Humph. Supreme martial artist Dong shouted coldly. His face was extremely gloomy as he said coldly, "A group of stubborn guys, if you want to die, this old man will not accompany you." After saying this much, Supreme Martial Artist Dong led the members of his Supreme Martial Clan and flew in the direction of the Dean of the Unique Demon Academy. Then, they obediently stood beside the Dean like obedient dogs. "Lu Ming, let's see how you die this time." The Universe Master stood in the crowd and roared in his heart. His eyes scanned the Kong Xian sect, trying to find Lu Ming and kill him. Unfortunately, he could not find Lu Ming even after looking around. "Since you're not here, the people closest to you must die." Ouyang Qingxiang and those from Lu Ming's faction, Supreme Universe's gaze swept across Ouyang Qingxiang, and Hai, Lu Chang, and the others, revealing a ferocious killing intent. Who else wants to surrender? If you surrender to the indestructible sword sect, I won't pursue the matter. At this moment, the sect leader of the inextinguishable sword sect stepped out. The Kong Xian sect was also a strong force, and they were envious of them. If you join the boundless sacred land, I won't pursue the matter. The boundless holy land's lord spoke. In the Kong Xian sect, the eyes of some people flickered. Some people were tempted. If they insisted on going against the major forces, only death would await them. If they surrendered, they would still have a chance to live. They had cultivated for so many years and had extremely long lifespans. Once they reached the martial immortal realm, they could live for a star year. Who would be willing to be killed? You want us to be traitors? Don't even think about it. Once we become traitors, we'll have to bear the infamy of eternity. Not only ourselves, but our future generations will also be unable to lift their heads. We're definitely not traitors. You can give up on this idea. Yu Wuya roared in anger. These words made the faces of some of the Supreme Clan members turn red with shame, and some of the people who had wanted to surrender began to hesitate. Yes, once they betrayed, they would have to bear a lifetime of infamy. Others would not dare to say it in front of them, but they would definitely point fingers behind their backs. Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. The eyes of the Demonic Academy's college chief turned cold as he looked at Yu Wuya. Then, he slashed his demonic sword at Yu Wuya. This sword was extremely powerful. Yu Wuya's expression was extremely serious. He used all his strength to attack, wanting to block this sword. Lu Ming takes action. Yu Wuya's entire body was filled with a brilliant radiance. His entire person turned into a full moon, and the moon shone brightly in the sky, illuminating the entire world. The power of this move could not be said to not be strong. However, it was still inferior to the attack of the Dean of the Unique Demon Academy. The demonic sword broke through the air and slashed at the full moon. The full moon trembled violently and was split in half by the demonic sword. The moonlight dispersed, and Yu Wuya's figure appeared in midair. He was coughing out large mouthfuls of blood, and his body was almost split in half. There was a deep wound on his body, and it was extremely hideous. There was also a pitch-black demonic chi on it. Yu Wuya's body was sent flying backward, and he fell towards the main gate of Kong Xian sect. Father! Grandpa! A few voices rang out as a few figures flashed and caught Yu Wuya. They were Yue Xin, Ouyang Qingxiang, and the others. Their faces were filled with anxiety. Old man Yu, you're so stubborn, you're really looking for death. Seeing that Yu Wuya had been heavily injured in one move, the Supreme Being was incomparably carefree as he sneered. The other members of the Kong Xian sect turned pale. Some of them hesitated again, considering whether to surrender. The strength of the Demonic Academy's dean was too strong. Apart from Dragon Boat Mountain, no one in the Kong Xian sect could defeat him. Even someone as strong as you Wuya was severely injured by a single move. I'll give you one more chance. Swear on your life essence and surrender to me. I'll spare your life. The dean of the Yimo Academy stared at Yu Wuya and spoke again. Kill me if you want. If you want me to surrender, be your dog. Dream on. Yu Wuya roared. When the supreme martial artist moved, the faces of the supreme martial artist, Qian Kun, and the others darkened. It was obvious that Yu Wuya was calling them dogs. Alright, since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. The cold voice of the Demonic Academy's college chief rang out. A demonic sword soared into the sky, emitting a terrifying pressure. The fatal attack was about to land. With Yu Wuya's current state, he definitely wouldn't be able to block this attack. Demon Punisher, if you want to die, why don't you try? At this moment, a voice came from afar. It was filled with cold killing intent and unquestionable authority. Many people were shocked. Xing Mo was the name of the unique Demon Academy's dean. However, other than a few people in the Qin Tian Star region, no one dared to call him by his name. Instead, they would respectfully address him as the Dean or Lord Dean. But now, someone actually dared to call out the name of the Dean of the unique Devil Academy and even threaten him. Who was it? Such courage. This. What is this? Ouyang Xiangxiang, Yu Linglong, and Hai, and the others were all surprised. They recognized the voice. It was clearly Lu Ming's voice. Lu Ming, it's that Lu Ming. The Universe Master roared. He hated Lu Ming to the core, so he naturally remembered Lu Ming's voice clearly. Who's there? Get out here. The Dean of the Unique Demon Academy stopped his attack and looked coldly in the direction of Lu Ming's voice. Roar. A dragon's roar came from that direction, shaking the void. Then, a huge divine dragon wriggled over and appeared in everyone's vision. This divine dragon was Yu Long, and Lu Ming was standing on its head. A divine dragon, what a terrifying aura, look, there's someone on the dragon god's head. It's Lu Ming, it's Lu Ming. Many Kong Xian sect disciples cried out as they recognized Lu Ming. More people were shocked. Lu Ming had appeared riding on a divine dragon. The divine dragon had a terrifying aura. Kid, were you the one who spoke just now? The deans of the unique Devil Academy stared at Lu Ming with cold eyes. If it were anyone else, they would be trembling in fear when they were stared at by a figure like the dean of the unique Demon Academy. However, Lu Ming completely ignored it. There was even a faint killing intent on his face as he looked directly at the dean of the unique Demon Academy. That's right, it seems like you're not too stupid. Lu Ming said indifferently. Many people's hearts were beating wildly, and they were almost scared to death. Did Lu Ming eat a bear's heart and a leopard's gall? He actually dared to say that the dean of the unique Devil Academy was stupid. Did he not want to live anymore? This kid is really looking for death. Haha, that's good. It saves me the trouble of doing it. Supreme Universe laughed in his heart. This brat is dead for sure. Most of the people had the same thought. Ouyang Xiangxiang, Yu Linglong, and the rest broke out in cold sweat for Lu Ming. Haha, good, very good. I don't know how many years it has been since someone dared to say this to me. Very good, I will make you wish you were dead. The Demonic Academy's dean laughed in extreme anger, and his body emitted a cold killing intent. Boom! Suddenly, the Demonic Academy's college chief made his move. A huge demonic claw appeared and grabbed at Lu Ming, shrouding both Lu Ming and Yu Long. Not good, Ouyang Qingxiang and the others' expressions changed drastically. However, they could only watch helplessly and were unable to help. However, in the face of this move, Lu Ming's expression remained indifferent and even had a hint of disdain. When the demon claw was about to approach, Yu Long moved. Roar! Arg! The dark dragon roared as a pitch-black dragon claw shot out. Bang! When the dark dragon's dragon claw touched the demonic claw formed by the Demonic Academy's dean, a soft poof sound was heard before the demonic claw was destroyed by the dark dragon's dragon claw. Then, the dark dragon let out a long roar, and the 7 dragon claws on its abdomen stepped out in succession. It grabbed toward the dean of the unique demon academy and launched a counterattack. So powerful, many people's hearts were beating wildly. Yulong's strength had exceeded everyone's expectations. He had actually easily defeated the attack of the unique Devil Academy's dean and launched a counterattack. The face of the Demonic Academy's dean also changed. With a shout, the demonic sword in his hand roared out, and terrifying sword lights slashed towards Yulong. Buzz! And NBSP whoosh! The demonic sword radiance struck the dragon claw, producing an ear-piercing collision sound. It was as if gold and iron had collided, causing sparks to fly in all directions. A terrifying force swept in all directions. Not good, retreat. Many people's expressions changed drastically. The battle between Yulong and the dean of the unique Devil Academy was too astonishing. The force that had spread in all directions was so terrifying that it caused one's heart to tremble. If anyone below the God King realm were to be sucked into the battle, they would most likely die. However, Lu Ming was naturally fine. He stood on Yulong's head and was protected by the energy of Yulong. Continuous explosions were heard. In an instant, the two sides had exchanged hundreds of moves. Roar! Yulong suddenly roared and twisted his body. A strong divine power gushed out of his body and spread out along his dragon claws. The sword light of the Demonic Academy's college chief trembled violently. It was actually unable to withstand the attack and started to break apart. In the end, a dragon claw passed through the sword light and grabbed at the dean of the unique Demon Academy. The expression of the Demonic Academy's college chief changed drastically. With a wild roar, he slashed out a vast sword light. In the next moment, the sword light shattered, and the body of the Demonic Academy's college chief trembled violently. He retreated thousands of miles, and a trace of blood seeped out from the corner of his mouth. CSISI. Many people gasped. The Demonic Academy's dean was actually defeated and injured. This was simply inconceivable. Chapter 2915 Dark Dragon Strength. In the Qin Tian Galaxy, the dean of the Yimo Academy was a figure who stood at the peak. Even the sect leader of the Immortal Sword sect and the Holy Lord of the Boundless Holy Land were at most on the same level as him. It was impossible for them to hurt him. Only the legendary figures of the Red Flame Clan and the Ice Soul Clan could be injured. However, a young man riding a divine dragon had appeared and injured the dean of the unique Devil Academy. This, Ouyang Xiangxiang, Yu Linglong, and the others were all stunned. Where did this divine dragon come from? Wasn't it a little too powerful? It was actually able to injure the dean of the unique Demon Academy. It was definitely an overlord-like creature. However, such a powerful existence actually allowed Lu Ming to ride on his head. It should be known that the more powerful an existence was, the more arrogant they would be. It was a great humiliation for them to be riding on someone's head. It was just like an ordinary person stepping on the face of a unique Demon Academy's dean. It was an incredible thing. Lu Ming, I really can't see through you at all. Ouyang Qingxiang muttered. They were not the only ones who thought so. The others thought so too. At this moment, Lu Ming's figure kept growing in everyone's eyes. His body seemed to be shrouded in a layer of thick fog, giving off an unfathomable feeling. How is that possible? How is this possible? When the Supreme Martial Artist moved, the eyes of the Supreme Martial Artist, Universe Master, and the others nearly popped out of their sockets as they roared in their hearts in disbelief. In particular, the Supreme Universe was so jealous that he was about to go crazy. He kept roaring in his heart. Why was Lu Ming so lucky? Why did all of this not belong to him? A mere third-level divine king can only act like a tyrant in the Qin Heaven Star realm and send you on your way. Lu Ming stood on Yulong's head and looked down at the dean of the unique demon academy. His voice was filled with disdain. The demonic academy's dean, Demon Xing, was a third-level god king. Of course, Lu Ming did not know this. It was Bone Demon who told him. Breaking through to the divine king realm was extremely difficult. Each breakthrough required a huge amount of resources, talent, and luck. Otherwise, it would be hard to break through. Of course, the difference between each level was also very large. Although the gap between Ethereal God Realm, True God Realm, and Sky God Realm was big, it was far from the King God Realm. In the Divine King Realm, those with a higher cultivation base were superior to others. They could look down on people of the next realm and crush them with their strength. In the Qin Heaven Starfield, the majority of the God Kings were at the first level of the God King realm. A second-level God King was already an expert among the God Kings. For example, the Kong Xian Sex Yu Wuya was at the second level of the God King realm. There were also some top experts from the three overlord forces who were at the second level of the King God realm. In addition, the sect masters of the 10 great sects were also at the second level of the God King realm. Of course, the Dragon Boat Mountain was an exception. As for the Dragon Boat Mountain, the head of the unique Demon Academy, the sect master of the Undying Sword sect, and the immeasurable Saint Sun and the Divine Lord, they were all third-level God King realm existences. Yu Wuya, who was at the second level of the God King realm, was almost crushed by the unique Demon Academy's dean. From this, one could see the difference between them. The third level of the God King realm was the pinnacle of the Qin Heaven Starfield. However, it was said that the Red Flame clan and the Ice Soul clan had terrifying experts at the fourth level of the King God realm. However, such experts were extremely rare and were usually in seclusion. After Yulong's voice rang out, his dragon claw stepped on the air and continued to charge toward the dean of the unique Demon Academy. The Demonic Academy's college chief shouted angrily. He used all his strength to fight against Yulong, but he was still no match for him. After a few moves, he retreated again, and his body was almost torn apart by Yulong's dragon claws. Even so, there was still a wound on his body, and blood was flowing. Who are you? Who the hell are you? You definitely aren't from the Qin Heaven Starfield. Which starfield do you come from? The Demonic Academy's college chief roared. You don't have the right to know who I am. Kill. Yulong let out a roar and continued to charge toward the dean of the unique Demon Academy. Attack. Attack together. Do you two want to see us being defeated by him one by one? The dean of the unique Demon Academy roared. He was speaking to the God King experts of the unique Demon Academy, but the last two sentences were directed at the sect master of the Immortal Sword sect and the boundless Holy Land Saint Lord. He knew that he was no match for Yulong by himself. In the next moment, the God King of the unique Devil Academy made his move. All sorts of terrifying attacks, together with the Demon Punisher, were launched toward Yulong. At the same time, the sect leader of the Indestructible Sword sect and the boundless Holy Land Saint Lord also attacked Yulong. With so many experts joining hands, the power was simply enough to destroy the world. Good, good, a bunch of ants. Today, I'll let you know my power. Dark Dragon, also known as Bone Demon, roared. Dark light shone from Yulong's body as he twisted his body and pounced at the experts. Bang! Bang! The Dark Dragon's dragon claws continued to step out. Each claw was so huge that it could destroy hundreds of mountains. At the same time, Yulong's dragon horn shone with a light that was sharper than a divine blade. Yulong attacked with all his might, completely disregarding his own defense. Die! Demon Xing, the sect master of the Indestructible Sword sect, and the others cheered. Terrifying attacks landed on Yulong's body, wanting to destroy him. However, the moment the attack landed, their expressions changed drastically. That was because when their attacks landed on Yulong's body, it was as if their attacks had landed on a sturdy divine weapon. It was impossible to even leave a mark on the dragon's scales, let alone break through your defense. How is that possible? They widened their eyes in disbelief. Not good, then, their hearts started to beat wildly because Yulong's attack had already arrived. They could only defend with all their strength. Bang! Bang! After a series of explosions, the experts of the three overlord forces were sent flying like cannonballs. Some of the weaker ones even spat out blood. In the first clash, Yulong had the upper hand. Everyone else present was stunned. They simply couldn't believe their eyes. Facing so many experts, Yulong could actually still have the upper hand. Of course, they didn't know that Yulong was an existence that had surpassed God Kings. His body was unimaginably tough, and his defense was even more astonishing. Even if he didn't counterattack, a mere third-level God King wouldn't be able to break through his defense. Not to mention the second and first-level God Kings. If not for Yulong's severe injuries and his current strength, which was not even 1/10,000th of his original strength, he would have been able to kill the Dean of the Unique Demon Academy and the others with a single breath. This wasn't an exaggeration. If Yulong was at his peak, he could really kill the Dean of the Unique Demon Academy and the others with a single breath. The gap between each level of the Divine King realm was huge. A fourth-level God King was already capable of crushing a third-level God King, let alone existences that had surpassed God King. Kill! Dark Dragon roared and continued to attack the three overlord experts. This time, Yulong did not attack the strongest people like the Dean of the Unique Demon Academy and the Sect Master of the Immortal Sword Sect. In Yulong's current state, he could suppress a third Firmament Divine King, but it would be difficult to kill him. Thus, Yulong charged toward those first-level Divine King realm experts. Chapter 2915 Traitor Must Die. The Dragon Claw stomped down and grabbed at a first-level Divine King. The first-level God King realm expert was an elder of the Unique Devil Academy. His expression changed drastically, and his godly power surged. He activated beams of godly light, wanting to break through Yulong's attack and escape. However, with Yulong's current strength, it was very easy for him to deal with a first-level Divine King. With a swipe of his Dragon Claw, the attack of the first-level Divine King was instantly shattered. Ah! An unwilling and shrill scream was heard. The first-level Divine King expert's body burst like a balloon from the Dragon's Claw. A God King had fallen just like that. Kill! Kill the people from the Unique Devil Academy first. On the dragon's head, Lu Ming said coldly. As expected, Yulong had specifically targeted the people from the Unique Devil Academy and killed them. Many people were shocked. They did not expect that such a powerful Yulong would really listen to Lu Ming. Stop him, the Demonic Academy's college chief roared continuously. Together with the other experts, he continuously launched attacks. However, Yulong ignored their attacks and allowed them to land on his body. He was completely fine. Poochie. After a while, another senior statesman of the Unique Demon Academy was caught by the Dragon Claw. With a tearing sound, he was torn into two and died on the spot. Another God King of the Unique Devil Academy had died. The three overlords and the God Kings of the other top factions were almost scared out of their wits. Some of the first-level God Kings even retreated. The Demonic Academy's college chief let out a furious roar. His heart was bleeding. That was two God Kings. In the Qin Heaven Star region, God Kings were considered peak powers. Even the three hegemon powers didn't have many God Kings. Now that two of them had died, his heart ached. Retreat, the Demonic Academy's dean finally decided to retreat. With a furious roar, he led the other experts of the Demonic Academy and quickly retreated. He pulled away from Yulong and did not dare to continue attacking. As for the Immortal Sword sect and the Boundless Holy Land, as well as the other top sects, they retreated even faster. They retreated far away before the Yimo Academy. Kill! Yulong roared. He didn't want to let his opponent off so easily. He twisted his body and charged forward again. Let's go! The expressions of the experts from the three overlord forces and the other top sects changed. They didn't dare to stay any longer. They turned around and ran as far away as they could. The others may leave, but the traitors must stay. On the dragon's head, Lu Ming's voice echoed throughout the entire area. After that, Yulong changed his direction and charged towards Jizun and the people from the Jizun clan. Damn it, let's go, run. Supreme Being Dong roared as he used his divine power to escape with Supreme Universe. However, there were many people in the Supreme clan, and the others didn't have this speed. Yulong twisted his body and caught up with the large group of people from the Supreme clan. Spare me, spare me. Many Supreme Being clans, people cried out in fear. Traitors must pay the price. Go. Lu Ming said coldly. Dark Dragon's huge dragon claw swiped down. Bang! Bang! Large groups of Supreme Clan members exploded. Under the terrifying power of Yulong, they turned into ashes, their bodies and spirits destroyed. In an instant, hundreds of people from the Supreme Clans had fallen. The Supreme Being no longer cared about the other members of the Supreme Being clan. He brought the most talented junior of the Supreme Being clan, Supreme Universe, and the other two God Kings of the Supreme Being clan, fleeing madly. If the autarchs move, you won't be able to escape. Lu Ming roared. The Bone Demon controlled the Dark Dragon and chased after the Supreme Being. Yulong's body was huge and was hundreds of thousands of meters long. With a twist of his body, a terrifying power burst forth. Wherever he passed by, a large number of people from the Supreme Clans were killed. The reason why Lu Ming was so decisive and merciless was to intimidate them. It would intimidate the other members of Kong Xian's sect who wanted to betray him. As expected, upon seeing this scene, many of the Kong Xian sect disciples turned pale and broke out in cold sweat. They rejoiced inwardly that they had not surrendered before. If they had surrendered, they would probably have ended up like this. We can't let the traitor go. The traitor must be punished. At this moment, Yu Wuya shouted. That's right. We can't let the Supreme Clan off. Kong Xian sect disciples, follow me and kill all the traitors. The other Doyen also shouted and soared into the sky, charging towards the people of the Supreme Clan. Kill! Kill, kill, kill! The entire Kong Xian sect charged towards the Supreme Clan. How could a single Supreme Being clan be a match for the entire Kong Xian sect? In a short while, all the members of the Supreme Being clan had been surrounded, and a bloody battle had begun. Don't! Spare me, senior brother Gu, we have such a good relationship. Please spare me. The people from the Supreme Clan begged for mercy. Traitor, don't try to befriend me. I was blind in the past and mistook you as a friend. Die in peace. Kill. How could the people of the Kong Xian sect show any mercy? In order to prove their loyalty and that they were not on the same side as the Supreme Clans, they attacked even more ruthlessly. Large groups of people from the Supreme Clan were killed. At this moment, the Dark Dragon was carrying Lu Ming and was about to catch up with the Supreme Being Dong and the other two Divine Kings from the Supreme Being Clan. Director, help, help. Supreme Martial Artist Dong shouted loudly and asked the Dean of the Unique Devil Academy for help. He knew very well that with his strength, he was no match for Yulong. If Yulong caught up to him, only death would await him. Only the Dean of the Unique Demon Academy could save them. However, the Dean of the Unique Demon Academy did not even bother to pay attention to him. He did not even look at him as he quickly flew forward. What a joke! Why would he save Supreme Martial Artist Dong and the others? He was actually hoping that Supreme Martial Artist Dong and the others would be caught up to. That way, he would be able to delay them and allow them to escape safely. When the Supreme Martial Artist saw that the unique Devil Academy's college chief was too lazy to pay attention to him, a look of despair appeared on his face. Demon Executioner, you're despicable and shameless. You'll die a terrible death. Supreme Martial Artist Dong roared in anger and cursed continuously. The Supreme is moving. You're courting death. The eyes of the Demonic Academy's college chief turned cold. He turned around and slashed his demonic sword at the Supreme Martial Artist. The Supreme Martial Artist was greatly alarmed, and he repeatedly launched attacks to block. Although this was a casual strike from the Demonic Academy's college chief, its might was still terrifying. Even though the supreme move had been blocked, he had no choice but to stop. The moment he stopped, Lu Ming caught up to him. Paragons, move. Die. The Dark Dragon's dragon claw clawed at the Supreme Martial Artist. This claw was much more powerful than the sword attack of the unique Devil Academy's Dean. Paragon Divine Fist. Supreme Move roared madly as his body glowed with a brilliant golden light. He punched out continuously with both fists, sending huge golden fist prints towards the Dark Dragon's claw. However, the Supreme Move was only at the second level of the Divine King realm. If Yu Long could suppress a third-level Divine King, how could a second-level Divine King resist it? Bang! Bang! A series of explosions rang out as the fist force of Supreme Being Dong crumbled. The dragon claw didn't stop as it struck Supreme Being Dong's body. Chapter 2916 The Sorrow of a Supreme Dark Dragon's huge dragon claw struck Supreme Being Dong's body. Supreme Being Dong let out a blood-curdling screech as his body was sent flying a few thousand miles away. He spat out a large mouthful of blood as half of his body exploded. He looked as miserable as he could be. Even Supreme Universe, who was beside Supreme Movement, was affected. His lower body was shattered, and he floated in the air with a look of horror as he screamed repeatedly. When the other two God Kings of the Supreme Clan saw this, their expressions changed drastically. Without even thinking, they split into two directions and flew off at high speed, leaving the Supreme Clan behind to deal with them. Lu Ming, leave the two traitors to us. At that moment, the two elders flew past Lu Ming and chased after the two God Kings from the Supreme Clan. They were two extremely powerful elders of the Kong Xian sect. They were both at the second tier of the God King realm. The two God Kings from the Supreme Clan who had escaped were only at the first level of the God King realm. They were unable to escape from the pursuit of a second-level God King. Yu Long stopped and looked at Supreme Move and Supreme Universe with his cold eyes. Both Supreme Movement and Supreme Universe revealed looks of despair. Lu Ming, I'm begging you. Spare me. As long as you spare me, I'll be your slave and follow you wholeheartedly. All of a sudden, Universe Master screamed and begged Lu Ming for mercy. Xian Kuan, what are you doing? If you want to die, then die. Why do you have to beg for mercy from him? The men of my supreme family, even if you die, you must die with a backbone. Supreme Martial Artist Dong shouted. Shut up. If you want to die, I don't want to accompany you, Supreme Universe shouted at Supreme Being Dong with a malevolent expression. He was the son of heaven. He had a bright future. With his talent, breaking through to the Divine King realm was almost certain. Once he reached the God King realm, his lifespan would increase exponentially, allowing him to live for 5-star years. With such a long lifespan, how much happiness could he enjoy? Why did he have to die? In order to live, he could give up any backbone. Immediately, the Universe Master turned to look at Lu Ming with a fawning expression. Lu Ming, no, Holy Son Lu Ming, as long as you let me go, I'll do anything you want. I'll be loyal to you in the future. He really is shameless. I've really misjudged him in the past. Someone like him can actually become the #1 saint of our Kong Xian sect. Pfft. Seeing the Supreme Holy Son's face, many of the Kong Xian sect disciples looked at him with disdain. Oh, if you want me to let you go, it's not impossible. How about this, you go kill him, and they'll let you go. Lu Ming pointed at the supreme martial artist. Kill him? However, he's a divine king expert. I'm not his match at all. Supreme Universe said with an ugly expression. That's easy, Yulong, Lu Ming sent Yulong a voice transmission. Kill. Dark Dragon roared and pounced toward the supreme martial artist. At this moment, Supreme Being Dong had already suffered heavy injuries and was unable to escape at all. He could only barely resist. However, Dark Dragon's dragon claw swiped down and sent Supreme Being Dong flying. This time, Supreme Martial Artist Dong's injuries were even more severe. His entire body was in tatters, and even his divine flame had almost been extinguished. His strength was reduced to less than 1,000th of what it had been. Now, he doesn't have much strength left. Go and kill him. I promise you, as long as you kill him, I will definitely not kill you. Lu Ming said. Alright, I'll go kill him. Supreme Universe gritted his teeth and charged toward Supreme Move. Supreme Universe, you dare. Supreme Martial Artist Dong roared in anger, his eyes filled with disbelief. He had not expected that the Universe Master would really want to kill him. The Supreme Being moved. Didn't you say that I was the future hope of the Supreme Being clan? As long as I'm alive, the Supreme Clan will be able to rise in the future. Do you understand? Supreme Universe secretly transmitted a message to Supreme Being Dong. At the same time, his body glowed and he used the Supreme Divine Fist to attack Supreme Being Dong. You disobedient son! Jizun Dong bellowed. He was extremely disappointed with the Supreme Universe Master. Moreover, he did not want to be captured without putting up a fight. He would rather die at Lu Ming's hands than at the hands of the Supreme Universe Master. If he really died at the hands of the Supreme Universe Master, the reputation of the Supreme Universe family would go down in history for thousands of years and they would become a laughingstock. Thus, the autarch began to resist. He mustered up his remaining strength and also punched out. Boom! The attacks of Supreme Movement and Supreme Universe collided, causing a dazzling golden light to burst out. Then, the two of them retreated rapidly. If you still want to resist, die. The Universe Master roared in anger. In order to express his loyalty to Lu Ming, his eyes turned red as he charged at the Universe Master in a frenzy. However, Supreme Movement was still a second-tier God King. Although he was heavily injured and on the verge of death, he was still very strong when he went all out. He fought with Supreme Universe and it was difficult to tell who was winning. In the blink of an eye, the two of them had exchanged more than 100 moves. At this moment, the other two first-level God King experts from the Supreme Clan had already been taken down by the two second-level God King experts from the Kong Xian sect and had their cultivation crippled. A large number of Kong Xian sect elders and disciples surrounded the area, watching the battle between the Universe Supreme and the Universe Supreme from afar. The people from the three chiefs and some of the top forces had already escaped. Lu Ming did not let Yulong pursue them. With Yulong's current state, he could still slightly suppress the deans of the unique demon academy. However, it was impossible for him to kill the other party. Yulong's current state was that with the strength of his physical body, his defense was shocking. It was more than enough to protect himself, but his attack power was insufficient. Therefore, he could only let the other party escape. Die! Old man, why are you still resisting? Die! The Universe God had gone completely berserk, and he was constantly charging at the autarch. At this moment, the two of them were already injured on top of their injuries. Lu Ming, kill me. Just kill me. The supreme martial artist roared, wanting to die in Lu Ming's hands. There's a supreme family's dog at my command, why should I do it myself? Lu Ming sneered. When Universe Master heard this, he burned with anger. However, he did not dare to show it for fear of causing Lu Ming's dissatisfaction. He could only vent all his anger on the supreme martial artist. Forget it, forget it. At this moment, the Grandmaster sighed. He didn't want to resist any longer. If he continued, he would only become a laughingstock. Supreme Movement suddenly retracted all of its divine power and did not continue to resist. Bang! Supreme Universe's fist landed on Supreme Being Dong's head, causing his head to explode. The Paragon moved, and fell. A God King of a generation had died at the hands of a junior he valued the most. It was truly a great tragedy. Ha ha ha, old man, you're finally dead. Ha ha ha, the Universe Master laughed madly. After a long while, he stopped and looked at Lu Ming with a flattering expression. Holy Son Lu Ming, look. I've already killed the Supreme Being. Chapter 2917 Supreme Universe Falls, not bad. Lu Ming nodded and then said sarcastically, Supreme Universe, you're really worse than a pig or a dog. To save your life, you actually killed your own elder. Creak. Supreme Universe clenched his fists tightly, feeling extremely humiliated. He lowered his head, and his eyes were filled with malevolent killing intent. Lu Ming, I'll compromise for now. As long as I keep my life, I'll make you pay 10 times, no, 100 or 1,000 times the price one day. I'll torture your family to death one by one in front of you. I'll cripple your cultivation and let you live like a dead dog, in pain. The Universe Master roared madly in his heart. He hated Lu Ming to the core. However, the moment he raised his head, the killing intent and hatred in his eyes disappeared. There was only a smile. Holy Son Lu Ming is right. However, it's a pity that a Supreme Being is so stubborn to offend such a proud Son of Heaven like Holy Son Lu Ming. He deserves to die. Supreme Universe smiled apologetically. Shameless. Oh my God, he's really shameless. How shameless. Holy Son Lu Ming said that the Supreme Universe is worse than pigs and dogs. I used to respect him so much. It's so disgusting. Many of the Kong-Xian sect's disciples saw this and immediately cursed and ridiculed. Now, they were not afraid of the Supreme Universe. Grandmaster Universe Master's heart was filled with killing intent, but he still had a smile on his face. Holy Son Lu Ming, I can follow you from now on, right? Follow me? I only promised not to kill you, I didn't say I wanted you to follow me. Lu Ming said indifferently. Yes. I'm not fit to follow Holy Son Lu Ming. If there's nothing else, I'll take my leave. Universe Master nodded repeatedly. He was even happier that Lu Ming did not want him to follow him. Leave? The traitor still wants to leave? Lu Ming's voice turned cold. Universe Master's body stiffened, and his expression turned ugly. Holy Son Lu Ming, what's the meaning of this? You just said that if I kill the Supreme Being, you'll spare me and let me go. That's right. I did promise not to kill you, but that's only on my behalf. I can't represent all the elders and disciples of the Kong-Xian sect. You've betrayed the Kong-Xian sect, so you'll naturally be punished by the Kong-Xian sect. Lu Ming said indifferently. You. Lu Ming, you're despicable, shameless, and you don't keep your word, the Supreme Universe roared angrily. He knew that he had fallen into Lu Ming's trap. When did I go back on my word? I said I won't kill you, so I won't kill you. However, I'm only the saint of the Kong-Xian sect. I don't have the right to represent the elders of the Kong-Xian sect. Elders, what do you think is the punishment for betraying the sect? Lu Ming looked at the elders of Kongxian sect. Betraying the sect, he should be executed. Yu Wuya said coldly. Alright, then I'll leave this supreme universe to Elder Yu to handle. Lu Ming said. Ah, Lu Ming, you are despicable and shameless, Supreme Universe roared hysterically. Now, how could he not know that from the beginning, Lu Ming had no intention of letting him off? Even the powerful Dark Dragon listened to Lu Ming's commands. Now, as long as Lu Ming said something, no one in the entire Kongxian sect would dare to disobey him. However, Lu Ming said that he could not represent the elders of Kongxian sect. Die, traitor! Yu Wuya stepped out. With a wave of his hand, a beam of moonlight slashed toward Supreme Universe. With Yu Wuya's cultivation, although he had suffered some damage previously, it was far from what the Universe Master could withstand. Lu Ming, I curse you, die! Universe Master roared, but before he could even finish his words, he was struck by Yu Wuya. His body was torn apart, and his soul was destroyed. At this point, the Supreme Clan was almost completely annihilated. After dealing with the Supreme Being Clan, the people from the Kongxian sect looked at Lu Ming, especially at the Dark Dragon under his feet. Their eyes were filled with respect. The elder of Kongxian sect flew toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming, may I know who this is? Yu Wuya's gaze turned to Yulong. He was, of course, asking Yulong. This is a friend of mine. Lu Ming said with a smile. My friend. Everyone's eyes narrowed. In their eyes, Lu Ming had become even more unfathomable. Such a powerful existence was actually Lu Ming's friend. Clang! Clang! Right at this moment, the sound of a bell rang out from within the Kongxian sect. This is a death knell. What's going on? Many people's expressions changed. The death knell would not be sounded under normal circumstances. It would only be sounded when an important figure of the Kongxian sect had fallen. The Kongxian sect had indeed lost an important figure this time, and that was Zhizun Dong. However, Zhizun Dong was a traitor, so he would not sound the death knell because of him. The sect master has fallen. The sect master has fallen. At this moment, a white-haired old man flew out and called out sadly, What? The sect master has fallen. Many people were shocked. Elder Shang, what's going on? How did the sect master suddenly die? One by one, the doyens flew towards the old man and asked. I don't know either. I saw that the overall situation was settled, so I returned to the Life Palace and saw that the sect master's life plate was broken. Elder Shang Yuan said. Many important figures in the Kongxian sect had life tokens stored in their life palaces. Once a life jade was broken, it meant that he had fallen. What? How could this be? What happened? No wonder the sect master didn't appear before. Immediately, the entire Kongxian sect started discussing and making all sorts of guesses. However, no one knew the result. Naturally, Lu Ming would not tell them how the Dragon Boat Mountain had fallen. The death of the sect master is temporarily sealed and confidential. No one is to leak it out. In the end, the elders issued an order. However, they also knew that such a big matter couldn't be kept a secret for long. It was only a matter of time before it was leaked. They were secretly rejoicing that an expert like Yulong was staying in the Kongxian sect. Otherwise, if the news of the fall of Dragon Boat Mountain were to be leaked, the Kongxian sect would most likely be in danger. Even some of the top forces wouldn't be afraid of them, let alone the three overlord forces. Then, the elders of the Kongxian sect began to discuss what to do next. Lu Ming suggested that the various elders assist Ouyang Qingxiang and temporarily take charge of the Kongxian sect. When Ouyang Qingxiang became a divine king in the future, she would officially take over the Kongxian sect. Ouyang Qingxiang was a Zongzi to begin with. Since Lu Ming had spoken, the elders naturally agreed. Lu Ming's words now carried a lot of weight. The moment he opened his mouth, the elders of Kong Xian sect had to consider it. Just like that, many elders helped Ouyang Xiangxiang manage the Kong Xian sect, and the sect was on the right track. The Dark Dragon's secret realm. Lu Ming, this Dark Dragon is too heavily injured. I can still use this Dark Dragon's body for the time being. For the time being, it'll stay in the Dark Dragon's body and recuperate in the Dark Dragon's secret realm. As for the other matters, you'll have to rely on yourself, the Bone Devil's voice sounded. Chapter 2918 Star Core in hand. Alright, just focus on healing your injuries and don't worry about me. Lu Ming nodded and was looking forward to it. This Dark Dragon was originally an existence that surpassed God Kings. Once it recovered, it would be extremely terrifying. Of course, the Dark Dragon's soul had already been destroyed, and Bone Demon had only temporarily borrowed its body. It was impossible for him to recover to his peak. However, even if he did not recover to his peak, as long as he recovered to the peak of the Divine King realm, Lu Ming would be able to do whatever he wanted. Then he'll be leaving. Bone Demon said and controlled the Dark Dragon. With a twist of his body, he flew into the depths of the Dark Dragon's secret realm and disappeared. As for Lu Ming, he left the Dark Dragon's secret realm and soon arrived at a mountain peak. This mountain was an independent mountain belonging to the Kong Xian sect. It was rich in divine qi and had an excellent cultivation environment. It was one of the top mountains in the entire Kong Xian sect. However, it now belonged to Lu Ming alone. After setting up a simple array around the mountain peak, Lu Ming went to a large hall in the middle of the mountain peak and sat cross-legged. Then, a storage ring appeared in Lu Ming's hand. Looking at the storage ring, Lu Ming's eyes were filled with strong anticipation. This was because this storage ring belonged to Dragon Boat Mountain. What kind of treasures could a sect leader's storage ring have? Lu Ming did not know about other things, but he knew that the core of the star must be in this storage ring. There's a restriction indeed. Lu Ming scanned the ring with his spiritual senses and found that there was indeed a restriction on the storage ring. However, this was the storage ring of the Dragon Boat Mountain. He couldn't ask the God King of the Kong Xian sect for help, so he could only break this restriction himself. With a thought, the 6 divine fires in his dantian burned fiercely. With the ruler's divine power as the leader, the 6 types of divine power mixed together and surged toward the restriction on the storage ring. Lu Ming wanted to slowly erase the restrictions on it. Even with the mysterious power of the Creator, Lu Ming still used a full 3 months to erase the restriction on the storage ring. As soon as the restriction was destroyed, Lu Ming's spiritual consciousness entered the ring and scanned it impatiently. The first thing he saw was a jade box in the spatial ring. Even though they were separated by the jade box, he could still feel the surging energy emanating from it. The star core. Lu Ming was certain that the jade box definitely contained a star core. His palm glowed and the jade box appeared in Lu Ming's palm. It's so heavy. Lu Ming's expression changed and he almost could not hold the jade box. The weight of the jade box was shocking. Brat, with your current cultivation, you can't absorb the core of this star. In his sea of consciousness, the voice of the quantity formula sounded. Then what cultivation level does one need to be to absorb it? Lu Ming said. The core of this star was refined by someone with a great divine ability. It contains a lot of energy. You need to be at least at the Divine King realm to absorb it. Otherwise, both your soul and body will be burned to ashes. The quantity formula said. Only God Kings can absorb it. How long would that take? Lu Ming had a dejected look. Originally, he had obtained the core of the star and thought that he could use it to advance his cultivation by leaps and bounds. It seemed that he had thought too much. Hee, kid, don't be depressed. Did you forget that you still have me? The proud voice of the quantity formula sounded. You. You can absorb and refine this star core. Lu Ming's tone was full of doubt. Back then, the measure word art had taken a long time to refine the dark dragon blood jade and the ancient god flower's energy. The energy in the core of a star was many times stronger than that of the dark dragon blood jade and the ancient god flower. Could the quantity formula refine it? Lu Ming had serious doubts. Kid, what's with your tone? Are you doubting my ability? I'm so angry. The quantity formula roared. I'm not doubting your ability, it's just. However, if it took you so long to refine the dark dragon blood jade and the ancient god flower's energy, wouldn't it take tens or hundreds of thousands of years to refine the star's core? Lu Ming muttered. Nonsense, kid, what do you know? I'm living in your body now, so I'm living in symbiosis with you. My ability is also determined by your cultivation base. If your cultivation base is weak, my ability will be weak. The higher your cultivation base, the higher my ability will be. In the past, my refining ability was weak because you were trash. Do you understand? The quantity formula screamed. Lu Ming's face was covered in cold sweat. However, he finally understood that the energy of the quantity formula was closely related to his strength. This was reasonable. Otherwise, the quantity formula was one of the original ancient characters. The speed at which it refined energy was too slow. Boy, now that your cultivation has reached the heavenly god realm, my refining energy has also been greatly improved. I can barely refine this star core, but I can only do it slowly, bit by bit. It will take a long time to completely refine it, however, even if it's just a little bit, once I transfer the refined energy to you, it will greatly increase your cultivation speed. Kid, the cultivation technique you're cultivating is special. You need to cultivate many kinds of divine power and divine flames. Especially when you reach the divine king realm, you will be able to condense more star cores than others. At that time, every time you break through a new realm, you will need many times more energy than the others. Your cultivation speed will also be many times slower. But with this star core, your cultivation speed will not be slow. The quantity formula went on and on. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. It was true that he cultivated the Qian Kun Thousand Dao Scroll and many Shen powers. The amount of energy he needed to break through was much more than others. In this way, his cultivation speed would be very slow. Therefore, during this period of time, he did not dare to cultivate any other divine techniques, for fear that it would affect his cultivation speed. However, with this star core, he would not be afraid no matter how many divine techniques he cultivated or how much divine power he cultivated. Old Liang, can you directly swallow this star core? Lu Ming asked. Of course you can. He recited the measure formula. Then, Lu Ming's glabella lit up and a measure word flew out from his glabella. Lu Ming, open the jade box. The quantity formula said. Lu Ming immediately circulated his divine energy and condensed two large hands with it. He grabbed the jade box and opened the lid. As soon as he opened the lid of the jade box, Lu Ming saw a crystal the size of a human head in the box. It was dazzling like a small sun, emitting a terrifying and boundless energy fluctuation. In an instant, there was a terrifying energy that was about to rush into the sky. Fortunately, the quantity formula rapidly enlarged and directly enveloped the star core. The next moment, the energy fluctuations disappeared, and so did the star core to avoid alarming others. After the quantity formula devoured the star core, it flew into Lu Ming's glabella and settled down in his sea of consciousness. Lu Ming knew that the quantity formula would take time to refine the star core. He just had to wait patiently for the harvest. Chapter 2921 Inextinguishable Sword Force. After dealing with the star core, Lu Ming started to organize the other items in the Dragon Boat Mountain storage ring. Even though he was mentally prepared, Lu Ming was still shocked. There were simply too many treasures in the storage ring. Low-grade divine crystals and middle-grade divine crystals were piled up like a mountain. Lu Ming did not know how many pieces there were. They were enough for him to use for a long time. There were also all sorts of divine pills with different functions, all of which were of excellent quality. In addition, all kinds of blacksmithing materials and metal attribute materials were also piled up like mountains. Lu Ming's face was full of smiles. After Qiuqiu woke up, he would not have to worry about his food for a long time. In addition, there were also divine artifacts of various grades. Lu Ming had a thought and a crimson spear appeared in his hands. Buzz! Lu Ming circulated his divine power and waved it. A terrifying roar was heard in the air. Good spear. Lu Ming revealed a smile. This was a level 9 high-quality divine artifact. It was most suitable for Lu Ming's current use. Lu Ming immediately refined the divine weapon. After refining it, the spear flew into Lu Ming's sea of consciousness. It would be very convenient to use it in the future. In addition, Dragon Boat Mountain had also collected many divine skill manuals, cultivation technique manuals, secret skill manuals, and so on. Lu Ming sorted through the contents. What made him the happiest was that there were 2 divine grade techniques in the pile. These 2 divine techniques were not the ones that Kong Xian's sect had collected. Lu Ming had never seen them before. Clearly, they were the private goods of Dragon Boat Mountain. Ha ha ha. Lu Ming laughed heartily. Now that he had the star core, he wanted to cultivate a few more kinds of Shen power. There were ready-made Shen techniques that came to him. As long as he cultivated these 2 divine techniques, his divine power would be even stronger. Lu Ming kept the 2 divine grade techniques and took out some storage rings. Lu Ming had obtained these storage rings from the geniuses of the Unique Devil Academy and the Immortal Sword Sect. Lu Ming sorted out the storage rings. What made Lu Ming ecstatic was that he had obtained 2 more divine techniques. One of them was the multi-eyed divine technique that he had obtained from the 4-eyed heavenly court of the Unique Demon Academy. At the peak of cultivation, one could cultivate multi-eyed divine power. The divine power controlled by the 4-eyed void court was this divine grade divine power. What excited Lu Ming the most was the other one. He got it from Zhuo Bumu, the unparalleled genius of the indestructible sword sect. It was called the indestructible sword technique. This divine technique was the most important technique of the indestructible sword sect. However, there were very few people who could cultivate it to its peak. This was because once cultivated to its peak, one could cultivate a divine grade divine power, the indestructible sword force. For example, the divine son of the indestructible sword sect had cultivated this divine technique to the extreme and cultivated it into divine grade divine power. It was indestructible and its offensive power was shocking. As for Zhuo Buju, he had only cultivated a sacred grade divine power and was far from cultivating a divine grade divine power. Lu Ming's heart was thumping. He had the heaven and earth thousand Tao scripture. He did not need to cultivate to the peak. It was enough to cultivate a wisp of Shen power. Immediately, Lu Ming decided to spend the rest of his time cultivating these 4 divine techniques. As for those king-grade divine techniques, Lu Ming was not interested in them at all. This was because it was very difficult to condense a star core with king-grade divine power. When Lu Ming entered the divine king realm, the king-grade divine power would not be of much use. Lu Ming planned to find an opportunity in the future to merge the 3 types of king-grade divine energy in his body with the divine grade divine energy or divine grade divine energy that had similar attributes. He'll cultivate the divine grade wondrous technique, the indestructible sword technique, first. Lu Ming pondered and then took out the indestructible sword technique to read and comprehend it in detail. The difficulty of cultivating a divine grade divine technique was naturally incomparable to that of a divine grade divine technique. Lu Ming spent a full year before he successfully cultivated the first stage. After cultivating the first stage, Lu Ming had condensed a wisp of inextinguishable sword force. To Lu Ming, that was enough. After cultivating the first level, Lu Ming put down the indestructible sword technique and went on to study another holy grade divine technique, the multi-eyed divine technique. Just like that, Lu Ming spent a few years to cultivate the 4 divine techniques to the first level and cultivated a wisp of divine power. This was only the beginning of his cultivation. Following that, Lu Ming focused on circulating the Universe Thousand Tao mantra to strengthen the 4 types of divine powers. It would take a long time to cultivate these 4 Shen powers to the same level as the other Shen powers. Next, Lu Ming entered a deep level of seclusion. And after the Qin Heaven starfield went through a period of turmoil, it also fell into peace. Time passed quickly. 200 years had passed. To the Qin Heaven starfield, 200 years was just a blink of an eye. To Lu Ming, it was a great harvest. After 200 years, Lu Ming had finally cultivated 3 of the divine grade divine powers to the point where they were as strong and condensed as the other divine powers. Only the inextinguishable sword force was more difficult to cultivate as it was a divine grade divine power. He had not cultivated it to the point where it was as strong as the other divine powers, but the difference was not too big. He should be able to catch up in a few decades. In this way, there were 10 divine power flowers in Lu Ming's dantian. They were extremely dazzling, like 10 stars in the starry sky. And NBSP there were 2 divine grade divine powers, 5 sacred grade divine powers, and 3 king grade divine powers. Although Lu Ming's current cultivation level was still at the first-year celestial deity realm, his divine power was much stronger than it was 200 years ago. His combat strength had also improved by a large margin. Moreover, in the past 200 years, he had not been completely cultivating the Universe Thousand Tao scripture. He had taken time to study the divine dragon materialization technique, various divine skills, and the battle character formula. He had improved quite a bit in all aspects. In terms of magical skills, Lu Ming had successfully cultivated the 3rd move of the 3 apocalyptic strikes, Star Explosion. This move was known as the supernova, and one could imagine how powerful it was. In addition, the 9 heavenly Kuan Ping technique and the 9 layers of crimson gold armor had all reached the 7th layer. He had reached the 7th level of the 9 heavenly Kuan Ping technique, which was the peak. However, the 9 heavenly Kuan Ping technique was an incomplete speed-type divine skill. There must be other higher levels. Lu Ming planned to spend some time to look for them. There was also the battle character. Lu Ming had finally cultivated the quadruple combat strength to its peak and achieved a 100% success rate. Lu Ming had already started to comprehend the 5-fold increase in combat strength. However, it was too difficult. After many years of cultivation, Lu Ming still had no idea. In short, after 200 years, although Lu Ming's cultivation level did not increase, his combat strength had improved by a large margin. If Lu Ming continued to face Mo Jui, the divine son of the unique Devil Academy, he was confident that he could suppress him. At this moment, a figure with a curly beard floated over from outside the mountain. Qiuyue. Lu Ming stood up with a smile and walked up to her. He held Qiuyu's hand and sized her up. Then, his eyes lit up and he said in surprise, "Qiuyue, you broke through to the heavenly god realm." The emissary of the Great Void Sacred Dynasty. Yes, I just broke through not long ago. Qiuyu nodded, her face filled with joy. She had finally caught up to Lu Ming. Lu Ming was amazed. Ever since Qiuyu awakened her 9-orifice saint heart, her cultivation speed was amazing. Even if he did not have any fortuitous encounters, his cultivation speed would still advance by leaps and bounds. Since 200 years ago, Lu Ming's authority in the Kongxian sect had increased. Almost no one would go against what he said. Therefore, Qiuyu could freely enter and exit the various cultivation sanctuaries in the Kongxian sect. In addition, Lu Ming had given her a large number of resources to help her. Qiu Yu's cultivation level was improving at an alarming rate. Now, Qiu Yu had already broken through to the first-tier celestial god realm and was on par with Lu Ming. Qiu Yu had also cultivated the Heaven and Earth Thousand Tao scripture to the highest level and successfully cultivated ruler divine power. Her battle power was also extremely strong. In all the major sects, he would be a deity-level figure. Of course, no one knew about this. Qiu Yue, take these divine techniques and cultivate them. Lu Ming passed the indestructible sword technique, multi-eyed divine technique, chilliness divine technique, and other divine techniques to Qiu Yu. With Qiu Yu's talent, it was only a matter of time before she cultivated many types of Shen power. Moreover, with the mystery of Qiu Yu's nine-orifice saint heart, her cultivation speed would not be slow even if she controlled many types of divine power. If it had been anyone else, even if they had the universe Thousand Tao scripture to cultivate many Shen powers, his cultivation speed would be as slow as a snail. However, Lu Ming had the measure, formula and Qiu Yu had a nine-orifice saint heart. They did not have such concerns. So many. Qiu Yu was also shocked to see so many divine techniques. Of course. Don't you know what kind of person your young master is? It's no big deal for him to obtain these divine techniques. He'll give you more in the future. Lu Ming started to boast. Qiu Yue knew it, young master is the best. Qiu Yu blinked her big eyes and kissed Lu Ming's lips. Then, she immediately retracted her hand. However, Lu Ming reached out and held Qiu Yu's slender waist, pulling her into his arms. You know how powerful young master is, right? He'll make it up to young master today. Lu Ming smiled evilly. Young master is up to no good again. Qiu Yu smiled. Then, he'll show you how bad I am. Lu Ming laughed out loud. He carried Qiu Yu and entered a room. In the days that followed, Qiu Yu cultivated various divine techniques under Lu Ming's guidance. Her progress was astonishing, and even Lu Ming felt ashamed of his inferiority. In the blink of an eye, another 3 years had passed. On this day, the senior statesman of Kongxian sect suddenly sent Lu Ming a message, saying that there was something important. Lu Ming rushed to the meeting hall and found Ouyang Qingxiang and the other holy sons there. When the sacred son of reflection and the rest saw Lu Ming, their faces turned pale and they were in awe. Greetings, holy son Lu Ming. The sacred son of reflection and the rest greeted Lu Ming politely. Now, if Lu Ming said one, they would definitely not dare to say two. Lu Ming nodded casually and swept his gaze across the entire venue. In addition to the holy sons and holy virgins, the elders of the Kongxian sect, and many inner sect elders, almost all of them were present. Lu Ming. Holy son Lu Ming. The doyens and inner sect elders also greeted Lu Ming one after another. Everyone, why have you all gathered here today? Lu Ming asked. Lu Ming, we've received news not long ago that an emissary from the Great Void Holy Dynasty is coming to our Kongxian sect. Ouyang Qingxiang said. The Great Void Holy Dynasty. Lu Ming's eyes suddenly bloomed with a brilliant glow. Lu Ming had long known that the Great Void Holy Dynasty was a universal power that ruled a vast territory. It had countless star zones and was vast and boundless. The Qin Heaven Star region was a remote star region under the rule of the Great Void Holy Dynasty. Because of Jing Ye's matter, Lu Ming had to make a trip to the Great Void Holy Dynasty sooner or later. He did not expect that an emissary from the Great Void Holy Dynasty would suddenly arrive. Why did the emissary from the Great Void Holy Dynasty suddenly come to the Kongxian sect? Lu Ming asked, his mind spinning rapidly. Could it be that the people of the Great Void Sacred Dynasty knew of his relationship with Jing Yu and had come for him? That's impossible. He didn't reveal anything about Jing Yu. The people of the Great Void Sacred Dynasty shouldn't know about this. What was the reason? We do not know either. In the vast Great Void Holy Dynasty, the Qin Heaven Star region is located far away. The Great Void Holy Dynasty has always been indifferent and rarely sends their emissaries over. We do not know why they suddenly sent their emissaries over this time. Ouyang Qingxiang also frowned. The rest of the people also had a serious look on their faces. They did not know if the arrival of the Great Void Holy Dynasty's emissary was a blessing or a curse. Although the Kongxian sect was the overlord of the Qin Heaven Galaxy, they were like ants compared to the Great Void Holy Dynasty. It was like the difference between an ant and a divine dragon. In fact, they were not even comparable to an ant. Any random expert from the Great Void Holy Dynasty could destroy the Kongxian sect. Therefore, they couldn't help but feel nervous. They are not from the royal family of the Great Void Holy Dynasty, but from the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Manor. At this moment, Yu Wuya spoke. 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion. Some people, including Lu Ming, looked puzzled. You guys might not be clear about the division of power in the Great Void Holy Dynasty. Let me explain it to you. Yu Wuya said. After sorting out her thoughts, she continued, the Great Void Holy Dynasty uses an enfeoffment system. Other than the royal family of the Great Void Holy Dynasty occupying the core and best territories, there are 27 heavenly kings. These 27 heavenly kings are all top experts of the Great Void Holy Dynasty and have made great contributions to the Great Void Holy Dynasty. The 27 heavenly kings have established 27 heavenly king manors, each ruling a territory, like a country within a country. Their strength is also very shocking. And our Qin Heaven Starfield is under the rule of the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Manor. Yu Wuya explained. I see. Lu Ming nodded. He had a general understanding of the power structure of the Great Void Holy Dynasty. The 27 heavenly kings were the lords of a region in the Great Void Holy Dynasty. However, everyone's expression did not relax. To them, regardless of whether it was the royal family of the Great Void Holy Dynasty or the 9 Absolute Heavenly King House, they were all giants that they could not fight against. There was no difference. The envoy from the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion is about to arrive. Let's go out and welcome him. Yu Wuya said. Immediately, all the higher-ups of the Kongxian sect flew out into outer space. They stood in space and waited quietly. Roar! Roar! About half an hour later, a dragon's roar could be heard from afar. Then, everyone saw 9 giant divine dragons pulling a chariot toward them. The 9 divine dragons were scarlet all over and were 10,000 meters long. Their auras were extremely shocking, and each of them gave off a terrifying pressure. A peak heavenly god divine dragon is pulling the carriage. What a big move. An elder sighed. Chapter 2921 Shocking news to have 9 peak heavenly god divine dragons pulling a carriage. This was indeed an astonishing feat. Everyone knew that the envoy from the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion had arrived. Roar! Roar! The speed of the 9 dragons pulling the carriage was astonishing. Very soon, it arrived in front of Lu Ming and the rest and stopped in the starry sky. Everyone saw more than 10 figures on the chariot. Among them, there were 4 burly middle-aged men. They were burly and emitted a terrifying aura. A god king. He was definitely a god king. Moreover, he was definitely an expert among the god kings. The other 6 people were all young people, both male and female. Each of them had a proud expression on their faces, as if they thought highly of themselves. Kongxian sect Zongzi, Ouyang Qingxiang, is leading the entire Kongxian sect to welcome the emissaries of the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion. Ouyang Xiangxiang stepped forward and clasped her hands. Welcome, envoy of the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion. Sect leader. The other people from Kongxian sect also cupped their fists and bowed respectfully. Of course, Lu Ming was an exception. He just casually cupped his fists and sized up the people from the 9 Absolute Heavenly King mansion with a curious gaze. Zongzi. Where's your sect leader? Why aren't you here to welcome me? A young man with 3 red scales on his forehead flew down from the chariot and spoke in a cold and arrogant voice. However, when his gaze fell on Ouyang Qingxiang, a look of surprise flashed across his face. I don't dare to hide it from you, envoy. My sect master died hundreds of years ago, and am temporarily taking over the sect. Ouyang Xiangxiang replied. Oh. Oh, the young man with the scale between his brows replied, but he did not comment. May I ask, emissaries, why have you suddenly come to my Kongxian sect? Ouyang Xiangxiang nervously asked. I was about to tell you about this. Let me tell you, the treasure of the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion, the 9 Absolute God Crystal, has been stolen. The young man with the scale between his eyebrows said. Ouyang Qingxiang and the others looked at each other. What did the theft of the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion's treasure have to do with them? After investigation, the person who stole the treasure of the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion, the 9 Absolute God Crystal, is from your Qin Heaven Starfield. The young man with the scale between his eyebrows suddenly said in a cold voice. What? Ouyang Xiangxiang, Yu Wuya, and the others' expressions changed drastically. The person who stole the treasure of the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion was actually from the Qin Heaven Starfield. Could it be that the powerhouses of the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion suspected that their Kongxian sect had done it? The doyens and inner court elders of Kongxian sect broke out in a cold sweat when they thought of this. Great emissaries, are you suspecting that it was done by my Kongxian sect? This is impossible. With the number of powerhouses in the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion, how could anyone from my Kongxian sect enter and steal the treasure? Yu Wuya hurriedly said. You mean to say that the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Manor's defense can't make it? The young man with the scale between his eyebrows said with a dark expression. No, that's not what I meant. Great messenger. You've misunderstood, Yu Wuya repeatedly bowed, his face covered in cold sweat. He was a second sky of King God Realm expert, but he had to bow and bend his knees in front of a junior. The other party's background was too great. Humph, it's good that you didn't. The young man with the scale between his eyebrows snorted coldly and said, this time, any of the forces in your Qin Heaven Starfield are suspects. You have to investigate them all. No one is an exception. How does the great messenger want to investigate? Ouyang Qingxiang asked. It's very simple. Gather everyone in your Kongxian sect and take out your storage rings for us to inspect. Also, release your Mind Si and Dantian. We also want to inspect your Mind Si and Dantian to prevent you from placing your treasures in your Mind Si and Dantian. The young man with the scale between his eyebrows said. What? I want to check the storage ring. There's also the Sea of Consciousness and Dantian. Many people cried out in alarm, their expressions unsightly. If that was the case, they would have no more secrets to keep. The storage ring, Sea of Consciousness, and Dantian were the greatest secrets of a cultivator. It was impossible to let others see them. Which person didn't have any secrets? Yet, the other party wanted to check everyone's storage rings, consciousness, and Dantian. How overbearing. What's wrong? Do you have any objections? The young man with the scale between his eyebrows asked coldly. The rest of the people stepped down from the chariot and cast hostile looks at Lu Ming and the rest. It would be a wonder if he didn't have any opinions. Everyone roared in their hearts. Emissaries, we really didn't steal the treasures of the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion. Even if you give us 100 guts, we wouldn't dare to. That's right. Moreover, our cultivation is low, so we can't steal the treasures of the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion at all. I hope that all envoys can understand. The elders of Kongxian sect spoke one after another. Nonsense, I don't care about you. My mission here is to find the 9 absolute God crystal. Don't talk nonsense with me, just follow my orders. The young man with the scale between his brows shouted coldly, as if he was scolding a group of slaves. He was direct and overbearing, not showing any mercy. Wuxia and a few other God King experts had ugly expressions. The other party was just a young man. Furthermore, they could see that his cultivation was only at the 6th level heavenly deity realm. If he dared to speak to them like this in any other place, he would have been slapped to death by them long ago. However, the other party was an envoy from the 9 absolute heavenly king manor, and there were terrifying experts following him. They did not dare to do so at all. However, they were not willing to take out their storage rings or open their spiritual sea dantian for the other party to check. For a time, the atmosphere was a little heavy. What's wrong? You're still not willing? Do you want to annihilate the Kong-Xian sect? The young man with the scale between his eyebrows shouted angrily. What big words! A voice was heard. Lu Ming could not bear it anymore and stepped out. From the very beginning, the other party had been acting high and mighty, looking down on them. It was as if Lu Ming and the rest had to do as he said. Lu Ming was really unhappy. As soon as Lu Ming walked out, the young man with the scale between his eyebrows stared at Lu Ming with a cold glint in his eyes. Kid, what did you say? The young man with the scale between his eyebrows said coldly. Didn't you hear what I said? Your ears aren't good. Lu Ming said with a cold face. Once his temper flared up, he would not care who the other party was. The moment you come here, you want us to give you our storage rings and our Sea of Consciousness dantian for you to investigate? Just based on your words. Then, let me check your dantian and Sea of Consciousness first. Lu Ming continued. Kid, you still want to check my dantian Sea of Consciousness? Who do you think you are? You're just a lowly ant and a piece of trash. How can you compare yourself to me? You'll do whatever I tell you to do, understand? Trash. The young man with the scale between his eyebrows shouted loudly, as if he had Lu Ming in the palm of his hand. Hee, you're making yourself sound noble. In my opinion, everyone's the same. There's no difference between noble and lowly. If you want to investigate us, why can't we investigate you? Lu Ming sneered. Kid, you're bringing trouble to your Kong-Xian sect, do you understand? The young man with the scale between his brows had a cold expression as he threatened. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2922 Irresistible Power, You don't need to threaten me. Justice is in the hearts of the people, let me tell you, my Kong-Xian sect did not steal the treasures of the 9 absolute heavenly king mansion. It is impossible for you to search our dantian Sea of Consciousness. All cultivators know that the dantian Sea of Consciousness is the most important secret. If you want to search our dantian Sea of Consciousness, you might as well kill us directly. Lu Ming said loudly. There were many secrets in his dantian and Sea of Consciousness. The Heaven and Earth Thousand Tao scripture cultivated many types of Shen power. There was also the battle formula and the quantity formula. If any of them were exposed, he would die without a burial ground. How could he let the other party search? If you are really suspicious, we can swear on our life source to confirm that we did not steal the treasures of the 9 absolute heavenly king mansion. In the end, Lu Ming still made a concession. After all, he had to consider the entire Kong-Xian sect. Swear on the source of life. Hee, I don't trust you. The 9 absolute heavenly king mansion's treasure is so precious, you can sacrifice a few lives, it's completely worth it. The young man with the scale between his eyebrows said coldly. If one were to make an oath with their life source, the oath wouldn't be broken immediately. Instead, they might die from qi deviation in their later cultivation. The other party's meaning was very obvious. Even if someone from Kong Xian's sect really stole the treasure of 9 absolute heavenly king mansion, they could also swear on their life source. At that time, at most, those who stole the treasure would break their oath and die. But to the treasures of the 9 absolute heavenly king manor, it was worth it. The expressions of Yu Wuya and the others were a little unsightly. It was obvious that the other party would only be at ease if they searched their dantian and sea of consciousness. If that's the case, then there's nothing more to say. Please go back. It's impossible for you to search our dantian and sea of consciousness. Lu Ming's expression turned cold. He had already made a concession, but the other party was still pressing him, so he was too lazy to talk nonsense. He, good, very good. Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. After all, I can still check your dantian and sea of consciousness after killing you. The young man with the scale between his eyebrows laughed hideously. Boom. 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 At this moment, a terrifying aura burst out from the 4 burly men. A vast pressure covered the sky and the earth, shrouding the entire planet. Ah, what's going on? What a terrifying aura. A terrifying expert has descended. It's dangerous. The mountain gate of Kong Xian sect was in chaos. Many people felt the aura and were shocked to death. Some people who were cultivating were suppressed by the aura. Their bodies trembled and they spat out blood. 3rd level of the God King realm. They're all 3rd level God Kings. Yu Wuya cried out in shock. The other Divine King elders were also shocked and their faces changed. These 4 burly men were all 3rd level God King realm experts. In the Qin Tian Star region, they were the deans of the Yimo Academy and the sect master of the indestructible sword sect. They were definitely overlord level experts. However, 4 of them had come all of a sudden. Lu Ming's expression changed. The 9 absolute heavenly king manor was indeed terrifying. They could even casually send out a 3rd level God King. Moreover, it seemed like their status wasn't very high. It seems that I can only let the Bone Devil come. Lu Ming's mind was racing. In this situation, he could only let the Bone Demon attack and force the other party to retreat. Then, he would bring the entire Kong Xian sect to find a place to hide. Other than this method, there was no other way. A bunch of country bumpkins who haven't seen the world. A few 3rd level divine kings scared you to this extent. Seeing Lu Ming and the rest's expressions change drastically, as if they had been frightened, the young man with the scale between his eyebrows felt pleased and could not help but mock them. Now, I'll give you one last chance. Open your storage rings and your dantian and sea of consciousness for us to check, and we can spare your lives. The young man with the scale between his eyebrows continued to speak coldly. The expressions of Yu Wuya and the other Kong Xian sect elders and inner sect elders kept changing. The other side had 4 3rd level divine king realm experts. Once they made a move, they would die without a doubt. Therefore, they were already hesitating. Compared to being killed, having their dantian and sea of consciousness checked was not unacceptable. However, Lu Ming's attitude was very firm and they were hesitant. Lu Ming had you long behind him. I'll give you 3 breaths of time. If you don't agree after 3 breaths, you'll die. 3. The young man with the scale between his eyebrows said coldly. The expressions of Yu Wuya and the others changed drastically. They looked at Lu Ming, then at the young man with the scale between his eyebrows. They were extremely anxious. 2. And NBSP, kill. The scale youth spoke once more, his eyes radiating cold killing intent. Qin Wushang, you're really impressive. You came to the Qin Heaven Star region to act like a tyrant, At this moment, a mocking voice came from afar. Who is it? The young man with the scale between his brows shouted coldly as he looked in the direction of the voice. There was a sword light flying toward them at an astonishing speed. In the next moment, the sword light receded, and a combat sword appeared in the starry sky. The battle sword was 10,000 meters long and incomparably huge. 5 figures stood on the battle sword. A young man and 4 burly men. Wu Zifeng, Lu Ming, Ouyang Qingxiang, and the rest were a little shocked. The young man on the sword was really Wu Zifeng. Miss Qingxiang, Lu Ming, Grandpa Yu, Wu Zifeng stepped down and greeted Lu Ming and Ouyang Qingxiang. Finally, he bowed to Yu Wuya. Zifeng, you're here. Good, good, good. Seeing Wu Zifeng, Yu Wuya was overjoyed. He said, good, 3 times in a row, and his whole body seemed to be completely relaxed. Wu Zifeng, it's you. The young man with the scale between his brows could not help but exclaim when he saw Wu Zifeng, as if he knew him. Qin Wushang, now, get lost. Wu Zifeng shouted indifferently. The young man with the scale between his eyebrows was Qin Wushang. Wu Zifeng, I'm here to investigate the case of the stolen treasure of the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion. Do you want to interfere? Qin Wushang said coldly. Don't use the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion to pressure me. You can lie to others, but you can't lie to me. You're just an ordinary disciple of the Qin family. You can't represent the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion. Don't use a chicken feather as a token of authority and show off in front of us. Wu Zifeng sneered. At the same time, the 4 burly men behind Wu Zifeng also erupted with a shocking aura. They were all 3rd-level divine kings. It seems like Wu Zifeng is also from the Great Void Holy Dynasty. Lu Ming's heart stirred. In the past, he already knew that Wu Zifeng was not from the Qin Heaven Starfield. It turned out that he was from the Great Void Sacred Dynasty, and his background was more powerful than he had imagined. Even Qin Wushang seemed to be quite afraid of Wu Zifeng. Qin Wushang's expression was unsightly. The 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion had a vast territory. Under it, there were naturally many powerful forces. These forces all existed in the form of clans. Many large and ancient clans helped the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion rule the vast territory. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. 9 Absolute Heavenly King Manners Paragon. Please continue reading on Oxville. Omicron M. These ancient aristocratic families had been passed down for countless years. Their foundations were deep, and their strength was unfathomable. They were far from what the Qin Heaven Starfield could compare to. The Wu family and the Qin family were both aristocratic families like this. However, Qin Wushang's status in the Qin clan was not high. Just as Wu Zifeng had said, he did not mix well in the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion. He only came to the Qin Heaven Star Field to show off his power and did not represent the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion. Wu Zifeng, it seems that you have to intervene. This is about the 9 Absolute Divine Crystal. If something goes wrong, you won't be able to bear the responsibility. Not to mention you, even your Wu family can't bear the responsibility. Qin Wushang said coldly. You don't have to worry about that. I can also guarantee that the Kong Xian sect is not the one who stole the 9 Absolute Divine Crystal. You can get lost now. Wu Zifeng said. Good, very good. I can leave, but, Qin Wushang gritted his teeth. Halfway through his sentence, he suddenly turned to look at Lu Ming. Then, his body trembled and he rushed toward Lu Ming like a stream of light, sending a palm toward Lu Ming. The force whistled and the palm force pressed down on Lu Ming with the force of mountains and seas. 6th level heavenly deity, sacred grade divine power. In an instant, Lu Ming had determined Qin Wushang's strength. At the critical moment, Lu Ming did not have time to think. He could only channel his divine energy and wave his palm to resist. However, Lu Ming did not expect that Qin Wushang would suddenly attack him. In a hurry, he could only use 30% of his divine power. Boom! The two palms collided. Lu Ming's body shook violently and he retreated 1,000 meters before he could stabilize himself. Qin Wushang, what are you doing? Wu Zifeng shouted angrily. What are you doing? This lowly ant doesn't know his place and dares to talk back to me. I won't pursue the matter with the Kong Xian sect today, but this person must die. Qin Wushang shouted. His face was ferocious and filled with strong killing intent. With that, Qin Wushang's aura became even stronger. He stepped forward, and waves of powerful pressure pressed down on Lu Ming. This person isn't weaker than the Supreme Universe. Lu Ming had a thought in his mind. Qin Wushang's cultivation base was at the 6th level of the heavenly god realm. The divine power he controlled was of the divine grade. He was a genius on the same level as the Supreme Universe. However, from Wu Zifeng's tone, Qin Wushang seemed to be doing very well in the Qin family. If such a genius was only average in the Qin clan, then how many geniuses did the Qin clan have? Or rather, how many geniuses were there in the 9 absolute heavenly king mansion, or even the entire Great Void Holy Dynasty? For a moment, Lu Ming's imagination was running wild. He even had some desire in his heart. Currently, among the younger generation in the Qin Heaven Star Zone, Lu Ming was almost standing at the peak. As long as Mo Jui, Sword Dao Wuji, and Sanyan Pajuan had not broken through, he was confident that he could defeat them. Thus, he yearned for stronger opponents that could give him pressure and make him stronger. As long as I'm here, don't even think about touching a single hair on Lu Ming. Wu Zifeng said coldly and waved his hand. Bang! Behind Wu Zifeng, a burly man stepped out. His violent aura burst forth and blocked Qin Wushang's path. However, immediately after, a burly man behind Qin Wushang also stepped out. His aura erupted like a volcano and broke through the aura of the Wu family's experts. Qin Wushang regained his freedom. Let the younger generation solve their own problems. We, the older generation, just watch. The big man from the Qin family said coldly as he stared at the experts from the Wu family. The experts from both sides were in a confrontation. However, the people that both sides brought were about the same and their cultivation levels were about the same. It just so happened that they were in a stalemate and could not interfere in the matter between Lu Ming and Qin Wushang. Haha, that's right. The matters of the younger generation should be settled by themselves. I want to see what gave a lowly ant from the Qin Heaven Star System the courage to speak to me like that. Qin Wushang laughed out loud. He raised his 6th level celestial deity cultivation to the peak and stomped towards Lu Ming with a face full of confidence. He could tell that Lu Ming was only a first-tier celestial deity. In his opinion, a first-tier celestial deity would not be able to withstand a single blow. Qin Wushang, you dare, Wu Zifeng shouted. However, his cultivation was not as good as Qin Wushang's, so he could not wipe his hands. Brother Wu, since he wants to fight, I'll fight with him. You don't need to interfere. Lu Ming raised his hand and stopped Wu Zifeng. Hee, kid, you have some guts. However, you want to fight me with trash like you? Kneel down. Qin Wushang snorted and raised his hand again. A huge palm print formed and pressed down on Lu Ming, trying to force him to his knees. You're the one who should kneel. Lu Ming's indifferent voice was heard. At the same time, the 10 divine flames in his body burned fiercely. The 10 types of divine powers circulated wildly and gathered together, rushing toward Lu Ming's arm. Whoosh! Lu Ming pointed his finger and a spear's gleam shot up into the sky, piercing through the 9 heavens and the starry sky. It was brighter than a shooting star. Bang! The spear radiance and Qin Wushang's palm print collided with a violent boom. Qin Wushang's palm print exploded and disappeared. What? Qin Wushang was shocked. Why did Lu Ming's aura suddenly increase by a few times? The attack that he unleashed was also extremely shocking, crushing his attack in one fell swoop. The people who came with Qin Wushang could not help but widen their eyes, their faces filled with shock. So powerful. Lu Ming is really getting more and more powerful. Wu Zifeng was also very surprised. With just this bit of strength, I still thought how strong the geniuses of the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion were. Lu Ming's faint voice was filled with mockery. Kid, you're quite strong. However, I didn't use my full strength just now. Now, you'll regret it. 7 Injury Divine Fist. Qin Wushang shouted and changed his attack. He clenched his fists and a strange light emanated from his body and gathered on his fists. Boom! Boom! Qin Wushang threw 2 punches in a row. The 2 fist prints were like 2 meteors, blasting toward Lu Ming. It was fast, but its power was shocking. This level of combat strength was already not below the full strength of the Supreme Universe. In the Qin Heaven Star region, he was definitely considered a top genius. However, with Lu Ming's current abilities, it was a piece of cake for him to deal with an opponent like Supreme Universe. Lu Ming didn't even need to use his ancient god body and the battle character formula to multiply his combat power. It was enough to rely on the 10 types of divine power and various divine skills and secret techniques. Divine Dragon Phenomenon. Lu Ming also threw a punch. Roar. A dragon's roar reverberated through the firmament. A huge 9-clawed divine dragon appeared and pounced at Qin Wushang with a furious roar. Lu Ming then threw another punch and another 9-clawed divine dragon appeared. The 2 9-clawed divine dragons twisted their bodies and pounced forward. The 9 dragon claws on their abdomen struck out in succession and let out terrifying howls as if sharp swords were piercing through the air. In reality, that was indeed the case. Now that Lu Ming had cultivated the indestructible sword technique and controlled the indestructible sword force, his divine power contained a terrifying sword force attack. The inextinguishable sword force acted on the 9-clawed divine dragon's sharp claws, making them as sharp as a sword. It elevated Lu Ming's attack power to another level. Chapter 2924 Forceful Suppression. Please continue reading on Oxful. Omicron M. Boom. Boom. The 9-clawed divine dragon's sharp claws continued to claw at the fist print, causing a series of rumbles. The fist print trembled continuously, and cracks appeared on it. How is that possible? How is that possible? Qin Wushang howled in his heart. He was in disbelief. He had already used all his strength and used his ultimate move, but now, he was still at a disadvantage. This was simply unbelievable. He was a 6th-level celestial deity and had even mastered the divine energy while Lu Ming was only a 1st-level celestial deity. An existence that he had regarded as an ant had actually exploded with such shocking battle prowess. It was a huge blow to his self-esteem. I can't lose. How can I lose to an ant from the Qin Heaven Star system? 7 Injury Divine Fist, 7 Injury Stacking. Qin Wushang roared in his heart. His face turned pale and he spat out a few mouthfuls of blood. After spurting out blood, Qin Wushang's face turned pale. However, the force of his fist had become even stronger. Boom! 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 Qin Wushang continued to swing his fists. Waves of terrifying fist force burst out continuously and merged with the fist seals from before, causing the power of his fist seals to skyrocket and emit a dazzling radiance. Using his own injuries to increase his attack power, what a brainless secret technique, hee. Lu Ming sneered and then took a step forward. Divine Dragon Phenomenon, come out. Lu Ming shouted. Roar! 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 Roar. The dragon's roars continued to ring out in the sky. 4 more dragons' roars were heard in a row. Then, 4 9-clawed divine dragons emerged above Lu Ming's head. In addition to the previous one, there were a total of 6 9-clawed divine dragons. After more than 200 years of cultivation, Lu Ming had already cultivated 6 divine dragon images. The true power of the divine dragon materialization art was gradually revealed. The 6 9-clawed divine dragons pounced at Qin Wushang together. The vast dragon might caused the 9 divine dragons pulling the Qin family's carriage to show fear and retreat continuously. This was a suppression due to the difference in levels. In the divine dragon clan, the 9-clawed divine dragon was undoubtedly superior. The power of the 6 9-clawed divine dragons was amazing. Moreover, Lu Ming had mastered the battle formula. Even if he did not trigger the multifold increase in combat power, he could be enhanced by the battle formula when he cast any divine skill or secret skill. The power would be stronger. The attacks from both sides met in the void and an astonishing collision broke out. Then, Qin Wushang's fist seal continued to explode and shatter. Pfft! Qin Wushang spat out a large mouthful of blood as he retreated. Lu Ming took a step forward. The 6 9-clawed divine dragons roared and chased after him. Hurry, hurry, and help me. Let's suppress this and together. He shouted. Qin Wushang roared. Even now, he still felt that he was superior to Lu Ming. This was a common problem for those who were born in great forces. It was just like how the Qin Heaven Star region's geniuses would act the same when facing the people of the chaotic astral river. They would look down on the people of the chaotic astral river, feeling that they were high and mighty, with a noble status. As for those who had walked up from the bottom, they would not have such a mentality. Kill. There were 5 other young men who came with Qin Wushang. At this moment, all of them were charging towards Lu Ming. The moment the 5 young men attacked, the people from the Kong Xian sect were shocked. This was because these 5 young men were all terrifying heaven's favorites. They had all mastered the divine power. 3 of them were at the 6th level and 2 of them were at the 5th level. The strength of those 3 6th-level heavenly deities was not the slightest bit weaker than Qin Wushang's. The 6 experts joined forces and launched their own ultimate moves, charging toward Lu Ming. Die, brat! 7 injury divine fist. Qin Wushang roared. He had been injured by Lu Ming, but the power of his fist force had become stronger. What he cultivated was a secret skill unique to the Qin family. The more injured he was, the more powerful his fist force would be. However, in the face of such an attack, Lu Ming's expression remained calm. Battle formula, double the combat power. With a single thought, Lu Ming activated the double combat strength of the battle character formula. A powerful force burst out from his body and filled his entire body. The 6 9-clawed divine dragons let out a long roar. As their bodies twisted, they swelled up rapidly. Their bodies grew larger and their power became stronger. The 6 9-clawed divine dragons pounced toward the 6 young men. A spear as huge as a mountain materialized in Lu Ming's palm and he thrust it at one of the youths. The young man was fighting against a 9-clawed divine dragon Dharma Laksana with all his strength. He could not resist the attack of the long spear at all. He was pressed down by the spear light and flew out like a broken sandbag. He was severely injured and his breath was weak. Then, Lu Ming fired another shot at another young man. After Lu Ming had activated the double combat strength, trash like Qin Wushang was no longer Lu Ming's match. He was easily crushed. Bang! Bang! Lu Ming attacked continuously with his spear. Each spear attack could suppress one person. In an instant, the 5 young men who attacked from behind were all sent flying by Lu Ming and were severely injured. In the end, Lu Ming's cold gaze swept towards Qin Wushang. Ah! Qin Wushang was so frightened that he screamed, turned around, and ran. You haven't even knelt down and you want to leave? Lu Ming said coldly. He controlled the 6 divine dragons and surrounded Qin Wushang. Brat, stop. At this moment, a burly man from the Qin family shouted and stepped forward. He wanted to deal with Lu Ming personally. However, a burly man from the Wu family stopped him. Let the younger generation settle their own matters. It's better for the older generation not to interfere. The burly man from the Wu family sneered. This sentence was said by the Qin family's burly man before, but now, the Wu family's burly man returned it to him without moving. You, the burly man from the Qin family was furious. He then glared at Lu Ming and said coldly, Qin Wushang is a disciple of the Qin clan. Although he is not a core disciple, you want him to kneel. You have to think carefully whether you are worthy of it. His voice was cold and threatening. Even if Qin Wushang was not a core member of the Qin clan, he was still a member of the clan. He represented the face of the clan. If Qin Wushang were to kneel, it would be equivalent to slapping the face of the clan. I've never heard of the Qin family. I only know that if you want someone to pay, you have to be prepared to pay. If he wants me to kneel, then you have to be prepared to kneel. Kneel. Lu Ming shouted coldly, not giving him any face at all. The 6 9-clawed divine dragons' huge claws pressed down continuously. How could Qin Wushang withstand it? He barely managed to withstand a few moves before he was controlled by the 9-clawed divine dragon phenomenon. With a plop, he knelt in the air before Lu Ming. Qin Wushang let out an angry roar that sounded like a pig being slaughtered. This was truly a great humiliation. In the Qin family, he was not a core disciple to begin with, so he was not doing very well. If this matter were to spread to the Qin family, he would probably do even worse and become the Qin family's disgrace. At this moment, he even wanted to die. The other 5 young men of the Qin family were pale with fear. They were glad that they weren't the first ones to step out. Otherwise, they wouldn't have a good ending. Chapter 2925 Star Field Crisis. Please continue reading on Oxful. Omicron M. Get lost. With a wave of his hand, a surge of energy burst forth and threw Qin Wushang away. One of the Qin clan's burly men reached out to catch Qin Wushang. His face was extremely cold. Kid, you have guts. I hope you don't set foot in the 9 Absolute Heavenly King mansion for the rest of your life. Otherwise, you will regret what you have done today. Go. The Qin clan's burly man left these words and flew onto the chariot with Qin Wushang and the others. Then, the 9 divine dragons roared and pulled the chariot away, disappearing in the blink of an eye. Who? Wuya and the others let out a long breath, but their hearts were still very heavy, as if a huge stone was pressing down on them. Although the Kongxian sect was temporarily safe, they knew that this matter was far from over. The treasure of the 9 Absolute Heavenly King mansion had been stolen. This was definitely a huge matter. They immediately welcomed Wu Zifeng and the Wu family into the Kongxian sect. After some understanding, Lu Ming knew that when Wuya was young and adventuring, he had inadvertently befriended Wu Zifeng's grandfather. The two of them had gone on adventures together and had a life-and-death friendship. Later on, Yu Linglong and Wu Zifeng were betrothed even before they were born. That was why Wu Zifeng often went to the Kongxian sect, and Yu Linglong often went to the Wu family to play. Zifeng, what's going on? In a large hall, Yu Wuya asked Wu Zifeng. I'm not too sure about the details. I only know that a few months ago, the treasure of the 9 Absolute Heavenly King mansion, the 9 Absolute God Crystal, was stolen. The thief was very smart and no one found out. However, the other party still left behind traces. The experts of the 9 Absolute Heavenly King mansion came to a conclusion based on those traces. The person who stole the treasure is very likely to come from the Qin Heaven star system. Wu Zifeng said. How is this possible? The defense of the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion is so well hidden and there are so many experts. In the Qin Heaven Star Field, who could steal the treasure from the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion? Wuxia and the others could not believe it. In the Qin Heaven Star region, a third-level God King like the demoness of the unique Demon Academy, Xing was already considered a peak expert. However, such a cultivation base was far from enough in the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion. Not to mention the third level of the God King realm, even the fourth or fifth level of the God King realm was far from enough. Who in the Qin Heaven Starfield had the ability to steal the precious treasure of the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Manor? I'm also very confused about this. However, since the clues point here, the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion will definitely not give up. This time, not only did the Qin family send people, but the other aristocratic families also sent people over. Wu Zifeng said. Everyone's expression became even more serious. This matter was not simple at all. The crowd chatted for a while more before dispersing. As expected, a few days later, news after news spread in the Qin Heaven Star region. In the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Manor, people from all the major families had come. Not only had Kong Xian Sect been visited, but all the major forces in the Qin Heaven Starfield had also been visited. For example, the 3 Overlord forces, the Ice Soul Clan, and the Scarlet Flame Clan. The people from the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Manor were domineering. No matter which power they were from, they wanted to check their storage rings and Dantian Sea of Consciousness. The other powers were not like the Kong Xian Sect, who had the help of the Wu family. When faced with the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Manor, all the other powers were helpless and could only obediently accept it. Their storage rings and Dantian Sea of Consciousness were checked. Even the Red Flame Clan and the Ice Soul Clan were no exception. But the result was that nothing was found. There was not a single clue about the 9 Absolute God Crystal. The 9 Absolute Heavenly King Manor's people were furious. They gave the Qin Heaven Star Field 10 years. After 10 years, if they still didn't hand over the 9 Absolute Divine Crystals, they would send an army over and trample the Qin Heaven Star Field. For a time, the people of the Qin Heaven Starfield were in a state of panic, and everyone was in danger. Who stole the treasure of the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Manor? Why isn't he handing it over? Is he trying to kill everyone? Which goddamned bastard harmed the entire star field for his own selfish reasons? He's going to die a horrible death. Many people cursed. In the Qin Heaven Star region, a storm was brewing, but there was nothing. Not long after, another piece of news spread throughout the Qin Heaven Starfield. During this period of time, the paragons of the various major forces of the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Manor had entered the Qin Heaven Starfield one after another. There were even geniuses who set up an arena on Myriad Spirit Planet to challenge the geniuses of the Qin Heaven Starfield. The result was naturally that the Qin Heaven Starfield's geniuses were crushed and didn't obtain a single victory. An ant is an ant, truly incompetent, what heaven's favorites. They're all trash. The 9 Absolute Heavenly King Manor's paragon was incomparably powerful, depreciating the Qin Tian Starfield's paragon to be worthless. Some people were furious and went to challenge the geniuses of the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion. However, the result was already set in stone. No one would win. This made the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion even more arrogant. If the younger generation of the Qin Heaven Starfield can defeat us, we can extend the time limit to 100 years, 1,000 years, or even more. In the end, some of the geniuses from the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion said. This moved the hearts of the experts from the various major factions of the Qin Heaven Starfield. If they could really extend their time, they might have a chance to find the thief and avoid being killed. At once, all the top talents from all the forces were on their way to Planet Thousand Spirits. The divine sons of the 3 Overlord forces, as well as the top talents of the Ice Soul Clan and the Scarlet Flame Clan, all went to Planet Thousand Spirits. Of course, experts from all the major forces also secretly went to Planet Thousand Spirits. For a time, Myriad Spirit Star, the largest trading planet in the Qin Heaven star system, became extremely lively. Lu Ming, Qiu Yu, Ouyang Xiangxiang, Yu Linglong, Wu Zifeng, and the others had also arrived on planet Myriad Spirit. The arena set up by the paragons of the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion is in the central square. Let's go and take a look, Lu Ming said. Not long after, they arrived at the central square. There was a huge empty space in the central square. In the middle of the empty space, there was a huge fighting ring. During this period of time, this area was filled with people. On one side of the fighting ring, there was a row of seats. A group of young men and women sat on the seats. These young men and women all had haughty expressions as they looked at the crowd in all directions with faint disdain in their eyes. They were all heaven's favorites from the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion. There are quite a lot of people here. Unfortunately, they're all trash. Not a single one of them is decent. A golden-robed young man's calm voice reverberated throughout the entire area. That's right, they're too useless. No matter what, this is still a starfield, and they're just a few cats and dogs. This is really disappointing. Another young man said in disdain. In the surroundings, when the people of the Qin Heaven Starfield heard this, they were all furious. Humph, the true geniuses of my Qin Heaven Starfield haven't arrived yet. Don't be arrogant. Someone couldn't help but ask. Oh. There were real geniuses. You didn't brag about it, did you? Ha ha ha. The golden-robed young man laughed with disdain. Who's bragging? I believe those heaven's favorites will be here soon. At that time, they might be able to fight with you. That person from the Qin Heaven Starfield said. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2925 Star Field Crisis. Please continue reading on Oxville. Omicron M. Get lost. With a wave of his hand, a surge of energy burst forth and threw Qin Wushang away. One of the Qin clan's burly men reached out to catch Qin Wushang. His face was extremely cold. Kid, you have guts. I hope you don't set foot in the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion for the rest of your life. Otherwise, you will regret what you have done today. Go. The Qin clan's burly man left these words and flew onto the chariot with Qin Wushang and the others. Then, the 9 divine dragons roared and pulled the chariot away, disappearing in the blink of an eye. Who? Wuya and the others let out a long breath, but their hearts were still very heavy, as if a huge stone was pressing down on them. Although the Kongxian sect was temporarily safe, they knew that this matter was far from over. The treasure of the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion had been stolen. This was definitely a huge matter. They immediately welcomed Wu Zifeng and the Wu family into the Kongxian sect. After some understanding, Lu Ming knew that when Wuya was young and adventuring, he had inadvertently befriended Wu Zifeng's grandfather. The two of them had gone on adventures together and had a life-and-death friendship. Later on, Yu Linglong and Wu Zifeng were betrothed even before they were born. That was why Wu Zifeng often went to the Kongxian sect, and Yu Linglong often went to the Wu family to play. Zifeng, what's going on? In a large hall, Yu Wuya asked Wu Zifeng. I'm not too sure about the details. I only know that a few months ago, the treasure of the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion, the 9 Absolute God Crystal, was stolen. The thief was very smart and no one found out. However, the other parties still left behind traces. The experts of the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion came to a conclusion based on those traces. The person who stole the treasure is very likely to come from the Qin Heaven star system. Wu Zifeng said. How is this possible? The defense of the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion is so well hidden and there are so many experts. In the Qin Heaven Star Field, who could steal the treasure from the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion? Wuxia and the others could not believe it. In the Qin Heaven Star region, a third-level god king like the demoness of the unique demon academy, Xing was already considered a peak expert. However, such a cultivation base was far from enough in the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion. Not to mention the third level of the God King realm, even the fourth or fifth level of the God King realm was far from enough. Who in the Qin Heaven Starfield had the ability to steal the precious treasure of the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Manor? I'm also very confused about this. However, since the clues point here, the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion will definitely not give up. This time, not only did the Qin family send people, but the other aristocratic families also sent people over. Wu Zifeng said. Everyone's expression became even more serious. This matter was not simple at all. The crowd chatted for a while more before dispersing. As expected, a few days later, news after news spread in the Qin Heaven Star region. In the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Manor, people from all the major families had come. Not only had Kong Xian Sect been visited, but all the major forces in the Qin Heaven Starfield had also been visited. For example, the 3 Overlord forces, the Ice Soul Clan, and the Scarlet Flame Clan. The people from the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Manor were domineering. No matter which power they were from, they wanted to check their storage rings and Dantian Sea of Consciousness. The other powers were not like the Kong Xian Sect, who had the help of the Wu family. When faced with the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Manor, all the other powers were helpless and could only obediently accept it. Their storage rings and Dantian Sea of Consciousness were checked. Even the Red Flame Clan and the Ice Soul Clan were no exception. But the result was that nothing was found. There was not a single clue about the 9 Absolute God Crystal. The 9 Absolute Heavenly King Manor's people were furious. They gave the Qin Heaven Star Field 10 years. After 10 years, if they still didn't hand over the 9 Absolute Divine Crystals, they would send an army over and trample the Qin Heaven Star Field. For a time, the people of the Qin Heaven Starfield were in a state of panic, and everyone was in danger. Who stole the treasure of the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Manor? Why isn't he handing it over? Is he trying to kill everyone? Which goddamned bastard harmed the entire star field for his own selfish reasons? He's going to die a horrible death. Many people cursed. In the Qin Heaven Star region, a storm was brewing, but there was nothing. Not long after, another piece of news spread throughout the Qin Heaven Starfield. During this period of time, the paragons of the various major forces of the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Manor had entered the Qin Heaven Starfield one after another. There were even geniuses who set up an arena on Myriad Spirit Planet to challenge the geniuses of the Qin Heaven Starfield. The result was naturally that the Qin Heaven Starfield's geniuses were crushed and didn't obtain a single victory. An ant is an ant, truly incompetent, what heaven's favorites. They're all trash. The 9 Absolute Heavenly King Manor's paragon was incomparably powerful, depreciating the Qin Tian Starfield's paragon to be worthless. Some people were furious and went to challenge the geniuses of the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion. However, the result was already set in stone. No one would win. This made the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion even more arrogant. If the younger generation of the Qin Heaven Starfield can defeat us, we can extend the time limit to 100 years, 1,000 years, or even more. In the end, some of the geniuses from the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion said. This moved the hearts of the experts from the various major factions of the Qin Heaven Starfield. If they could really extend their time, they might have a chance to find the thief and avoid being killed. At once, all the top talents from all the forces were on their way to Planet Thousand Spirits. The divine sons of the 3 Overlord forces, as well as the top talents of the Ice Soul Clan and the Scarlet Flame Clan, all went to Planet Thousand Spirits. Of course, experts from all the major forces also secretly went to Planet Thousand Spirits. For a time, Myriad Spirit Star, the largest trading planet in the Qin Heaven star system, became extremely lively. Lu Ming, Qiu Yu, Ouyang Xiangxiang, Yu Linglong, Wu Zifeng, and the others had also arrived on planet Myriad Spirit. The arena set up by the paragons of the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion is in the central square. Let's go and take a look. Lu Ming said. Not long after, they arrived at the central square. There was a huge empty space in the central square. In the middle of the empty space, there was a huge fighting ring. During this period of time, this area was filled with people. On one side of the fighting ring, there was a row of seats. A group of young men and women sat on the seats. These young men and women all had haughty expressions as they looked at the crowd in all directions with faint disdain in their eyes. They were all heaven's favorites from the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion. There are quite a lot of people here. Unfortunately, they're all trash. Not a single one of them is decent. A golden-robed young man's calm voice reverberated throughout the entire area. That's right, they're too useless. No matter what, this is still a starfield, and they're just a few cats and dogs. This is really disappointing. Another young man said in disdain. In the surroundings, when the people of the Qin Heaven Starfield heard this, they were all furious. Humph, the true geniuses of my Qin Heaven Starfield haven't arrived yet. Don't be arrogant. Someone couldn't help but ask. Oh. There were real geniuses. You didn't brag about it, did you? Ha ha ha. The golden-robed young man laughed with disdain. Who's bragging? I believe those heaven's favorites will be here soon. At that time, they might be able to fight with you. That person from the Qin Heaven Starfield said, You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.